No, mine's on. Ik kan er niet dichtbij staan.
Hello. Okay. Here. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I will be giving the introduction in English. If anybody also at home does not understand, please let us know in the chat and we can try to find a solution. It is my pleasure to introduce our two speakers today. This event was hosted by INIA on the initiative of Arun and Anjali. They've come a long way from India, so we're very happy that they're here to give this lecture. Should you have any questions in the meantime, please do not be afraid to interrupt. But maybe we can save broader questions till the end to the Q&A. So it's my turn to give the floor to you. We will be having 1 or 2 short breaks, but you will see that when it comes. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for joining us. And my name is Arun Dole, and I'm actually a German adoptee. So I was adopted from India to Germany. And like, I guess, most of you who joined now here or joined in online, I wanted to find my mother in India. I thought that could be very easy, but turned out it was not that easy. So I basically gave up my job. I was forced to give up my job, traveled many times to India, uncovered a lot of child trafficking scandals, and some point met Anjali, also met Roelie Post in the Netherlands, and we uncovered child trafficking scandals in 2000, or exposed the scandals in 2007. So that's how all started. Let me see whether this is working. Not. Ooh, that was working. Why can I not change it? No. Okay. Yeah. That. If you have any questions, type please the questions in the chat. Or if you here in the audience have any difficulties to understand my English, because it's more German English, or if you have difficulties to understand the English,
Indian English,
then please interrupt, and also you can ask if something is not really explained by us, you can just interrupt and ask us questions. And just give a short intro of you.
I'm Anjali Pawar. I'm studied law as well as I'm master's in social work, and I'm working as an activist since 1998 in child rights sector. And while working on child protection issues, I came across these adoption scandals. Till that time, we were also, being a human, I was also thinking adoption is a really good thing, noble thing and all. And then I started going deep into that and then realized it is not at all. No noble cause, nothing. It's clear-cut exchange of human body against money. That is what I called. I don't call it money, this adoption and all. So since that time I'm fighting. We exposed one Pune's adoption agency. That's how Arun and I met.
Well, let me explain that later.
Yeah.
So what are your expectations from today? Any expectations from today? What special questions?
I'm working in Cambodia, so totally different country, but I think we have some of the same challenges. So that's what I'm interested in, the challenges you met and how you work around it or how you work with it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining us also, that you're from another organization. Why Meta came was basically, now you said, I repeat it because for the audience, that she wants to learn, and because we face similar challenges. So I think also it's very important to have this kind of exchange. Yeah, this is where we are actually a number of organizations, all organizations with insufficient funding, but here when we talk about searches, basically we're having two organizations that is against child trafficking, also called ACT, please not ACT, against child trafficking. And we are a registered Dutch foundation. Our goal or purpose is really just to fight against child trafficking. And we defend the United Nations Convention on the Right of the Child. And what we also did concretely was giving concrete assistance to victims, and here primarily parents whose children were stolen, kidnapped, adopted to Australia, adopted to the United States, adopted to the Netherlands, adopted to Denmark. And with these cases we took up, we wanted to set examples on how one could provide a solution for this maybe. That didn't work out at all. And also empower those parents who actually do not have access to legal recourse or cannot just travel to the Netherlands or Denmark. So we brought parents from India to the Netherlands and also from Ethiopia to Denmark. Then we do lobby and advocate. We fight about 36 court cases. In Ethiopia 3, on the EU level 1, a number of course in India, in the Netherlands, fought. And against child trafficking has a very strange history. It's a story of it by its own. So basically because I exposed with the Dutch television the scandals regarding India in 2007 in the Netherlands, and Rulie Post, who was an EU official, EU civil servant, she just published her book in the Netherlands. So that's how our paths crossed. The book she published was Romania for Export Only, and that was basically a very detailed diary, very well written. I can only recommend it, about the issue of intercountry adoption in respect to Romania and how the European Commission actually solved that issue. So, but that is another story. And because I'm an adoptee myself, I'm a victim or survivor or whatever that's called, I have always assisted adoptees in the beginning from my own resources. In the very beginning it was only requests, oh, can you go to my orphanage because you're in India and send me some pictures. Of course it developed. And actually specifically with respect to the Netherlands, it was Wereldkinderen. And also with respect to Belgium or Flanders, it was first Wereldkinderen who asked me, the director of Wereldkinderen, who asked me to help Dutch adoptees with their searches. I always did that on the sideline of my other work and my own search. But it was Wereldkinderen who asked me. And then there was an organization back then in Flanders, which was which later became Stunput, sort of, but it was a Triobler. So Pierre Deonker asked me, in fact, to help their adoptees. And that is how I met Anjali. I mean, that's how I asked Anjali to help adoptees with searches in India. That's also how we started working on searches, because what we did before was actually working on current adoption cases and investigating that. That was the first thing. We'd not worked together on doing searches. So basically Anjali started working on searches because of Wereldkinderen, on the request of the Dutch agency. Basically we stopped intercountry adoption. There are not many anymore, since we have morally won in 2016, when I will explain that later a little bit, when the RSJ advised to stop intercountry adoption, and basically there are hardly any. So it's also difficult to fight what is not there anymore. We won. And we had a lot of security issues and other issues. And so in 2017, as we do not get funding, I decided, okay, now I'm going to charge adoptees, because people like me, we are 50 or 30 or something. So if we can't get funding, then we have to fund the work ourselves also, as we all, I'm just also an adoptee. So then we started setting up Adoptee Rights Council in India, which is a very lengthy process. And it's basically a sub-project of ACT. specifically focused, Adoptee Rights Council is only focused on what it says, adoptee rights searches in India. We are registered as a non-profit company in India. And yeah, adoptee rights and searches is what we're doing, and obviously advocacy, because access to files is not such an easy thing. Yeah. And also the image of adoption in India, as Anjali said, it's seen as a very good thing. Okay, do that. I'm going to run through that very quickly, but it's important to understand also in the context of searches a brief history. Inter-country adoptions, apart from the British, in India started around 1965, and it led immediately to scandals. Already in the 1970s there were scandals of adoptee children being abused or whatever, or parents who never consented to the adoption. We never had a real adoption law, so it were only the high courts who regulated inter-country adoption. And already in 1972, the Indian Council of Social Welfare was appointed by the high courts, here specifically also the High Court in Bombay, to do the scrutiny. Scrutiny is a word not many will understand, but concrete it is the file went from the High Court to the Indian Council of Social Welfare, and the Indian Council of Social Welfare checked whether all the paperwork was okay. They never checked whether the parents consented or not, but they checked whether there was a home study and whether the home study was okay. And then they would advise for or against whether the adoption is in the welfare of the child. So since 1972. What is interesting to know in this case is that in the Indian Council of Social Welfare was part of the network of international social service, essentially where INEA is also today part of the FIRM, and FIRM is part of international social service. So that's why I'm so angry, actually. What happened were more scandals and more regulations.
Can I have water?
Yeah, I do that. It culminated basically in 1982. So it culminated in 1982 in a case in the Supreme Court of India. There were allegations against Cherry Clark, one of the nurses who did the Vietnamese baby lift, who set up shop in India in the shadow of Mother Teresa in Calcutta, sorry. And there were allegations against her that she was kidnapping children or taking children from the slums. There was a child which died on the flight, on the escort flight to Great Britain. There were newspaper articles about it. And one lawyer called Lakshmikant Pandey wrote to the Supreme Court of India detailing these issues.
Yeah.
And the Supreme Court took this up. In my opinion, the Supreme Court made a big mistake. Instead of ensuring that the trafficking be stopped and that the people who were involved in it are being prosecuted, the Supreme Court invited all stakeholders, including International Social Service, including Wereldkinderen, including other adoption agencies, basically on a virtual table, so they were invited to give their submissions. And then the Supreme Court of India regulated inter-country adoption, not as per statutory law, but with case law. Didn't do that bad, but obviously legitimizing, legalizing that trade in children led to more and more scandals. There was no law in India, there was only the Guardians and Wards Act, so none of us, specifically our generation, or even, I guess, most of the audience, is not adopted. We were all taken into guardianship by our adoptive parents, with special permission from the court to be removed from the jurisdiction, and then adopted according to Belgium or Dutch law, German or Danish law. The statutory law which came in was in 2000 the Juvenile Justice Act, which contained, I think, 2 clauses about adoption, which were unusable. Then came in 2006 only, an amendment, and the High Courts started around 2008, 2010 to use the Juvenile Justice Act and regulate in terms of these small clauses. Then unfortunately, due to us, not at last due to us, since 2015 we have the Juvenile Justice Act, a new amendment, which has pretty detailed clauses on inter-country adoption, or adoption, also domestic adoptions. I say unfortunately due to us because we fought a case from 2012 to 2016 in the Supreme Court requesting the court to stop inter-country adoption until the new law was passed. We underestimated the situation. It was our fault in a way, or our lawyer's fault, who knows. But anyway, the law came into place to counter our demand to stop inter-country adoption. So the regulations also which are in place today regarding searches, including the juvenile, are part of the Juvenile Justice Act. The CARA regulations, which I will show, are part of that, also part of our efforts. When I started to search, the saying was basically, you cannot search. There are no records. Oh, there are no registration in India. There's no law, basically. There's, the records are sealed. For 2 years I was hearing that. I was going to adoption agencies, adoption experts, everybody. I mean, everybody was telling me about that. And then in 2002, 2003, I met child rights activists, before I knew Anjali. Child rights activists, and they told me, hey, Arun, it's totally different. Oh, I can't read that. As I said, it was all done under the Guardians and Wards Act. There's also another act which regulates children's homes, OCH Act, Orphanage and Charitable Homes Act. But so there are many laws. It's not like that. Then the El Kepande case regulated inter-country adoption. And it says, it is actually paragraph 23, there can be no objection in furnishing to the foreign adoptive parents, particularly in regard to the biological parents of the child taken in adoption. So we are those children. Our adoptive parents have the right to get that information. But it should be made clear that it would be entirely at the discretion of the foreign adoptive parents whether and if so, when to inform the child about its biological parents. Okay, I don't like it, but it's not that bad. Once the child is taken in adoption by a foreigner and the child grows up in the surroundings of the country of adoption, it becomes part of the society of that country. It may not be desirable to give information to the child about his biological parents. While it's young, that might have the effect of exciting his curiosity to meet its biological parents, resulting in an unsettling effect on its mind. So that's the mindset of the Supreme Court. And that is actually also the old mindset about adoption. So we have to see it's from 1984. But if after attaining the age of maturity, I think I'm mature, most of them, most of the audience, I guess, is mature, the child wants to know about its biological parents, there may not be any serious objection to the giving of such information to the child, because after the child attains maturity, it is not likely to be easily affected by such information. And in such cases, foreign adoptive parents may, in exercise of their discretion, furnish such information to the child if they think is fit. So, in fact, we do not have the right, but our adoptive parents had the right. And the adoptive parents here very concretely had the right to ask the information from Wereldkinderen or from the agency Meiling, or in Belgium from the Fruit Desires, Joyce Sowers. So we had the adoptive parents have had the right to ask that information. The problem is Wereldkinderen or Meiling, specifically Wereldkinderen, doesn't have that information. Neither does the Ministry of Justice. Same situation in Belgium. And this was a revolution for me, to understand that basically we have a right. So it goes through our adoptive parents. And we've been lied to by the adoption experts. Now I said, this is very important to understand because there's always a question, Arun, how do you solve search cases? What magic ball do you have? Are you bribing people? So there's a belief that we're just bribing people. I have to say, in the beginning of my own search, I had the same ideas of India that, it's a corrupt country and you give some bakshish there and here and there and then you get it done. It's a prejudice. To some extent, yes, we have corruption in India, but we have that also in the West. And it's not so easy to do that, and it is a crime. So we are not engaging in anything of that. And she's very strict on this. And we, as I explained, fought court cases. We fought that court case in the Supreme Court. And I fought my own case. And due to my own case in 2011 guidelines, 2011 guidelines, CARA, which is the Central Adoption Resource Authority, which is the central authority under the Hague Convention, had to recognize our rights. Now one has to understand that Werelkinderen hired us in 2008. So we worked for Werelkinderen from 2008 to 2009. And Werelkinderen's partner orphanage is Balanand in Bombay. And Balanand wasn't amused that we were suddenly talking to Werelkinderen's director, and we were suddenly talking to the adoption program manager and to the Roots program manager. And they started countering our efforts, obviously, because they run the federation of adoption agencies in the whole state of Maharashtra. So on one hand, the government had to recognize our adoptees' rights. On the other hand, the agency tried to stall our work, obviously, because they don't want anybody to look into their kitchen. And they wanted to really finish us off, me and Anjali. So they brought in a clause 5. A roots search by a third party shall not be permitted, and the agencies or authorities concerned shall not make any information public relating to the biological parents, adoptive parents, or adopted child. So they tried to finish us off. This was Werelkinderen. Okay? But, okay, start with 1. If the biological parents at the time of surrender of the child have specifically requested anonymity, then the consent in writing of the biological parent shall be taken by the specialized adoption agency or the district child protection unit, as the case may be, before divulging information. Here, this is actually something I'm happy about. I will explain this later, because the social conditions in India are very much different. We'll explain that later, specifically, Anjali. In cases of root search by older adoptees, the agencies or authorities concerned that is authorized for an adoption as the Central Authority, Indian Diplomatic Mission, blah, 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 whenever contact by any adoptee shall facilitate the root search. Well, that's good. You just need to go to the embassy, and they should be helping you. In practice, we don't do anything else. We represent adoptees. She's a noted social activist. Qualified social worker, we'll explain that more later, and a lawyer. And we have a team of lawyers. So if she's representing an adoptee, it's totally different than an adoptee goes to those authorities. We're forcing those authorities to do their job. That's all we do. We're not bribing. We're not doing anything. We're just fighting with them, and that is a huge effort. We're not doing anything. The guidelines, the rules came due to us, and we're trying to make them work. We're not absolutely not happy about the adoption system, that's clear, but we have to work within it. Persons above 18, they can apply independently, online. Actually, you can write directly to CARA, you can write also to INEA or the FIUM, they can actually write to CARA, or they can write to the Centrale Autoriteit. You can actually ask the Centrale Autoriteit in the Netherlands to send a letter to CARA if they're not replying. It's their job to communicate between central authorities. And then in case of denial by the biological parents or non-traceability of the parents in surrendered cases, surrenderment is like relinquished, Afstandsverklaring, this is surrender, and the circumstances on which the information is not being made available shall be disclosed to the adoptee. I said already, a root search by a third party shall not be permitted. And actually, we won a case. So we thought we represent adoptees. She represents adoptees, so she's not a third party. And we won a case against the government, Gara, who said we are third party. And the court said, no, you're not third party. And her name is there, so we are not third party.
Yeah.
The court was very clear. So we are permitted to represent adoptees. She is permitted. I was taken out, actually. And this is also very important. We go into that later, a little bit more. The right of an adopted child shall not infringe the right to privacy of the biological parents. I have that problem since ever I filed my own case. I'm also born to a so-called unmarried mother. And the agency, in my case, argued also like that we cannot give the name because we have to protect the privacy of the mother. When I then at the end found my mother, there was no reason to protect their privacy. Okay, so 17 years I searched for nothing. 17 years they kept us separated. But it is not like that there was no reason to be careful. So the adoption lobby, mafia, adoption stakeholders, or whatever you call them, they always try to frame it right of the adoptees versus the right of the biological parents. Adoptees also frame it like that. I have to say that adoptees also frame it like that. They are saying, it's my right to know, it's my file. I want to have it. And they do not see what could happen. That is what we are going to, or Anjali will explain later a little bit more. So we are just working within the law, which in parts we have created ourselves, which huge efforts. Nobody else did, we did. So when we are searching, you basically have to reconstruct, re-engineer what happened in the adoption. And I think it's in Cambodia or many other countries the same, apart from China. China is a kind of special country because of the one-child policy. But here, basically in all countries it's the same. Most of the adoptees, specifically from Dutch agency Wereldkinderen, some from the Belgium also, because they came from Christian, I will explain that later, Christian partners. But many of the children were taken from mothers, single mothers, I would call them. But being single in a patriarchal society wasn't even allowed in the Netherlands. So in 29 there's a case now from a Dutch mother who's going in appeal, crossing my fingers for her. But that was the same in the Netherlands and the same in many other Western countries. So we, include myself, we are illegitimate children. We're considered illegitimate children. We were also called bastards. And there's a whole movement, of course, it comes from access to records in the United States. So the first adoptee rights movement, let's say, for access to records, access to birth certificates, was called bastard nations. That is what I found out when I started looking into adoption and these rights discussion. So there's a whole movement out there to call us, we're proud to be bastards. Because how can you even call a child illegitimate or illegal child? It's crazy. But that is also how we are treated by Indian authorities, by judges, everywhere. So this is one big part of us called adopted from so-called unmarried mothers. There was a Swiss study now being done reconfirming that. And maybe one day it will be really looked at, these practices will be looked at as crime against humanity to separate mothers and babies just because of that. But we also have to, and we go into that a little bit deeper later, we also have to consider that these mothers, our mothers, been victims. So it's not like we can just victimize them again. Then there's a second category of children. There are children who are truly abandoned. I mean, who are truly being abandoned at, places, at a temple. We have cases like that. There are children who have been processed abandoned, who may be missing children. Okay, we'll explain that. Then we have children from poor families. Yeah, this is actually Anjali's part a little.
Yeah.
You have to make it very quick.
Yeah, sure.
We want to explain a little bit more the social background of. It's very important to understand that I have a little bit, I don't know. It's being said there's no problem about it in Sri Lanka. It's being said there's no problem about it in Cambodia. Of course, in China, it's basically different story. But in Colombia, supposedly there's no problem with that. But then I hear also in Germany there are problems with that. So, but anyway, we are talking here about India. You just.
Yeah. Actually, when we are talking about unmarried mothers, so many times I'm having arguments with Arun, even fights with Arun also regarding sharing information of those mothers once I'm getting it. Means, yes, adoptees having right to know about their biological families and meet them at least once, but we have to think about Indian side as well. Still today, it's not accepted that girl or woman is having child before marriage. Then those women called loose character, characterless, and it is really difficult for that family to survive in the society if such incidents happens. So to hide this shame for the family that their daughter is having child before marriage, or there is not only before marriage, there is one more angle that child who is widow having child. So during old days, actually it was not that issue of unmarried mothers, because girls were married off once they are having period, or so, before that even in cradles they were getting married, and then after their periods came, they going back to their husbands and all. But then later on, as education started and things changed and marriage age changed and everything changed, and before means if I'll see history from perspective of Hindu and Christian communities, there were missionaries organizations. So many parents thinks that if we don't want child, we can keep it to missionaries and missionaries will take care of them. In some cases where Hindu women's widows were used by family men or outside getting pregnant, then some activists started giving them protection and started homes for such women and having children with them. But later on, this whole adoption thing started coming and children were sent out, and this money, privacy, secrecy came into this, and everything is changed. But even today also, if we are going to meet that mother, need to be really careful and discreet while meeting her, because that stigma is still not gone. Now today, that time she was in a vulnerable situation already. She was mostly emotionally in a way threatened that, okay, if you will not give away your child, then your family is going to commit suicide, this will happen to your sisters, this will, I mean, they will not get married, their parents will commit suicide and all. In that situation, they are already giving up that child, marrying off some other person, having their own families, and now you are going and knocking their doors, asking, okay, hello, I am looking for Anjali Pawar, she had child that time, I am that child, so I wanted to meet her. And Anjali Pawar is already married, having 2, 3, 4 children, whatever, having husband, and her children are also married, having grandchildren and everything. And suddenly somebody is coming and saying all these things. It's really problem for her. Either she will be thrown out from the family, everybody will start hating her. Husband will not treat her well, probably then she will start suspiciously saying, okay, these other children are mine or not, because she has had already one child, so these other children are mine, then everything in that family, within that family will be disturbed. So that whole mother's life is disturbed, and probably we don't know what she will do with her life, because one mother said, if this will happen, I have to commit suicide. If anybody knows about this secret, then I don't have other way than committing suicide. Yeah. So this thing is still today, because I met many mothers. I convinced them, we discreetly reunited children with their mothers and all, but this thing is not yet changed. So even if today any girl is pregnant before marriage or when she is widow, people are not taking it really well, and she is into really vulnerable situation, desperate situation, and there is a problem. So we just cannot, because I saw, I think Bombay adoptee only, Dutch adoptee, having information, going Facebook live and trying to search his mother and saying that, okay, this mother's, I am using my name because I do not want to say other mother's name. So this is Anjali Pawar, she is my mother, and can you please tell me where she stays? Facebook live. So Anjali Pawar is not only one, there are many other Anjali Pawars also. So whoever is seeing that, I am on Anjali Pawar, there are few more Anjali Pawar, so everybody is going to start looking suspicious towards them, who knows them and who sees that live or who sees that situation. So including me, if I am a mother of that child, and those Anjali Pawars are going to be in really bad situation.
There are many, I understand where it comes from.
Yeah.
But you know that many people search now holding this placard in front, it's my mother's details, and that is a way of searching via social media. I have to really say that maybe it works in other countries, maybe in Colombia it's not so bad, but I don't think it's that easy either. But I can understand, because it's a Christian country and it's not so strict as India, but in India it is really not done. And I can really say also, like, we are not giving the information to adoptees.
Yeah.
When we are getting the information, we are not giving the information to adoptees. Because adoptees, in their understandable desperation, I understand it.
Yeah, now I have to follow the law.
We have to also follow the law.
I have to ask mother, after searching her, talking to her, I have to take her permission, okay, your child wanted to know about you, can I share your information? Some mother says, okay, I would like to have video call. Some says, no, let them meet me, then I will decide if I wanted to meet her again or I wanted to share my information. So as law says, as law of that land says that you have to take consent of mother before sharing her information, I have to do that. I cannot share that information to adoptee once I get it. And the mothers are having confidence in me, because I talked with them, I cooled them down with the situation, I promised them that their current life will be not disturbed and nothing is going to change, it will be discreet the way they want, and this whole thing which I promised them, I have to maintain that, and if they are giving consent, then only we are sharing mother's information, and even they are dialoguing with each other. Otherwise, it till the time reunion is not happening, we are not sharing. Only one case where mother said, out of around more than 82 cases, where mother said, no, I don't want to meet, a Dutch adoptee only.
Yeah.
And this adoptee also respected her thing, but mother gave her photograph, mother gave her bangles that her daughter will keep, and she also gave DNA, because without DNA we are not reuniting families.
Let me just, it is really important to understand
Yeah.
that the adoption business tries to frame it as a rights versus rights issue. And it is not like that. At the end of the day, we have to respect, I use the word respect, the mother's situation. There were victims as well of a very, very bad crime, actually. And then, we can solve that with social work or with proper work. We have to accompany adoptees. Adoptees need assistance for that. An adoptee cannot do it him or herself, not in a country like India where they don't know the culture. I still don't know the culture.
Yeah.
Where I don't still know the language. We cannot manage the situation. And this situation cannot be managed by tourist guides either. So it needs qualified, experienced people with the skills. It's not something you learn on at the university. So once we are once we are out of this frame, right versus rights issue, we can actually solve these challenges. We are currently in court also. Of course, we are being framed like rights. We are infringing on the rights of the mothers, but it is not like that. We can go and meet the mothers. If we respect them, then we can arrange the reunions. Okay, let me go to the next because we are going to. Okay, we're going to watch later part of a Danish series. These were 5 parts, and that will show what the background is of poor families. Poor families basically give their children for care and protection to children's homes. They're thinking it's a boarding school. They're having a crisis, and the children are being sent off without consent. And that is also. Let me go back to that because I didn't say that. That is also what I have to say in all so-called unmarried mother cases. There was no informed consent. The Swiss study basically reconfirms that, but they also only rely on Pien Bos. Pien Bos made a study on the relinquishment process of mothers during the time, an anthropological study, during the time when they were in the orphanage, at the children's home, children's home. She didn't really 100% point that out, but it was an anthropological study. She didn't really figure out she was working in child trafficking homes we exposed and sued for child trafficking later on. And in the Swiss study also did not meet an actual mother. They relied on accounts of Pien Bos, which is which was a time during when they were so-called surrendering their babies. We are talking to the mothers after 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
And we have not met one mother who gave an informed consent. And that is the same, you can basically say if the children are older and come from poor families, and you can smell it immediately. You can see it in the child study report. And that goes for Ethiopia, Cambodia, and I guess the same. But for Ethiopia, very clear. I have not met one family in Ethiopia who consented. And they were vulnerable. Okay, we can go quickly about it. And this is very, very complicated. This is what I call foundlings. I call that foundlings because in our paperwork, our Indian paperwork, the word abandonment has been misused to mislead authorities and judges. So that's why I call it foundlings. It's not in the paperwork, but it's easy to understand that I mean children who are really found abandoned. But that can include children who have been gone missing. So when a child is found at a train station, it may be a missing child. A child is found on a train, it may be a missing child. There was no mechanism. There is no mechanism today. There's no central DNA database yet. That's what we are fighting for. And the police, they don't have the resources and they don't have the time to really investigate.
They're not investigating anything.
Yeah. So, but then also, the government sets up and now in each district baby cradles where you can just dump your baby. Baby dumpers, I call them. No issue. You just don't like girls. You just throw a girl.
Yeah.
some are really truly abandoned. And now, for the first time, actually this year, no?
Yeah.
This year we solved the first case of a child which was truly abandoned with whatever love, really nicely done at a temple. We found the mother.
Yeah.
It's a long story. It's the first way. The way we found it is also proves that our approach is correct. So what we are trying to do in those cases is we're trying to get all information, paperwork, which is available. Sometimes we can trace the place where the child was found abandoned is there. Sometimes we can even we have traced the people who have actually found the child. And then we are trying to put this story as wide as possible in the media and hope somebody comes forward. And in this case, it works.
Yeah.
And of course, for those children where there is no paper trail, it's only DNA at the end, which will prove it, that we found the family, but that is the family. And it will also, over time, be only DNA, like FTDNA, whatever, GetMatch, the US data bank, which prove the best, to be the best solution for such cases. And it will also be very beneficial, I think, even though the government may do it old style. So we are fighting for the fact that the Indian government sets up an Indian DNA database, similar to the one in Korea, yeah? But also the Korean one, because they just do one-to-one matches. It doesn't really function yet. So we don't know. That's difficult, but we are working on that.
Yeah.
Break. Break. Any questions or break?
So let me summarize. As an adoptee, it's quite hard to go looking for a family because of all the legislation you don't know the culture. And on the other side of the mother, let's say, the secrecy of having had a child and giving it away is very important because you'll lose everything if someone or somebody finds out. And that therefore you need to be, don't go public on Facebook, for example. So even if you find a mom, you should be discreet about it.
Yeah.
Still in these, even in the Netherlands,
Still today.
it's okay to have a child, but in India it's still quite traditional.
Yeah. You're also not allowed. You're also not, boys maybe, but girls are not allowed to have relationships at such a manner. So what we know as romantic relationships, and we're moving in together when we are 20, and we do whatever one does. It's not allowed in India.
So one outcome could be that if your mom gets found, she can say no to meet you, and that's her right.
Yeah.
Which would for me be very hard, because if I want to meet my mom, what I'm also looking for is the acknowledgement of existence. That's also what it means to me to find a relative and to find my mom. So it would be quite hard for me if she doesn't want to.
That we understand, but it is also very important. You've seen the legislation. Yeah. So the person who's if you send a tourist guide, if you ask a tourist guide to do that, who doesn't have the skill, all the mothers, correct? No? They're at the first moment they're scared. Yeah.
That local person is coming to me, he knows me, or he knows my relatives, so my secret is open to everyone.
So they are scared. And I cannot do it because I don't speak the language. I don't think a tourist guide can do it. But she can do it.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's not only that she's a social worker and that she's a lawyer. She's
Woman,
skilled.
Yeah.
She's skilled.
I'm a woman, and many times when I'm going to this mother's house, Sulekha knows that we are researcher. Something in really remote area, I cannot change my appearance sometimes. That then I need to be some educated person only, and then that time then I'm going as a different person. No one knows what I'm doing, and even mingling with the families, meeting families, doing surveys, doing different things, and
she's
meeting the family.
She's skilled. That is something you cannot really learn.
Yeah.
And that is also what sometimes adoptees misunderstand. So she has a skill to convince the mothers that her secret will be kept. And
yeah.
the moment the mothers are trusting her, they say, okay, I want to meet my child, because they haven't forgotten that baby.
Yeah.
That's also another question. Will the mom, even
Yes.
though she cannot tell it whether it's a
The-
secret,
Yes, we will.
will she ever forget me? That's one of
No,
the questions I have.
no,
Yeah.
no. I mean, the worst in terms of forgetting were mothers who were believing or tried to believe that their child died.
Yeah.
So that were they have nobody as a coping mechanism. They have no therapy, doesn't exist.
Yeah.
All they can do is go to a temple and pray. They cannot talk to anybody about that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Must be a burden.
Yeah.
But,
It's really difficult.
okay, no.
Yeah. Sorry?
You were finished?
Yeah, yeah.
Ah, okay, sorry. As I understood you right, you were talking about wereldkinderen and the rights of wereldkinderen and adoptive parents, so they are allowed to ask for biological parents' information. Am I right?
At the
Yeah.
time of adoption,
Yeah.
they should have all those information.
So,
No, but they also can ask later. It's written
Yeah.
that they can ask.
did, yeah. So I was thinking, did you ever try to, like you work together with wereldkinderen, to get the information from all the files from wereldkinderen to do this?
Yeah, that's a very good.
Wereldkinderen is having actually quite a lot of files and information, and also biological parents' information, but
Wereldkinderen, let me be very clear. We worked for 2 years, for hundreds of hours for Wereldkinderen, unpaid. Okay? So I did volunteer for Wereldkinderen until the new director, Albert Jaap van Sandbrink, came and slashed all the project down. We even filed a court case signed by Ina Hunte, or a police complaint actually, against one of their Indian partners. We worked really, really hard. I can assure you that in none of the Wereldkinderen files, in none of the child study reports, at least to the best of my knowledge, you will not find the name and address of your unmarried mother. The information is solely, I will explain that later, with the partners of Wereldkinderen. Wereldkinderen, and maybe Ina would have liked to ask that information, but the information is in India, in Indian jurisdiction. So Wereldkinderen, and that's what we started actually. We started that. We started fighting in the court for the right of Wereldkinderen adoptees, paid by Wereldkinderen paid that court case. We started fighting for that right. And then Wereldkinderen killed that. The board.
no, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but to go back to wereldkinderen as an agency in my times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do have some more information of biological parents. Did you ever solve cases, or did you ever investigate the documents at wereldkinderen?
I have not done an exhaustive study of the documents of Wereldkinderen, but I know from
the cases-
but I know from adoptees who've requested the information, the shadow file of Wereldkinderen. So I get a lot of requests. They don't necessarily. These are not necessarily adoptees who hire us, but I have to believe when an adoptee asks Wereldkinderen to give them the shadow file which Wereldkinderen has, then I get those files. And I know for sure that in those files, this information is not there. I know when I was working with Wereldkinderen in 2009, that was very much part of the discussion we had at that time with the Roots program manager and the director. They don't have the names and addresses. And that Wereldkinderen does not have the name and address of the biological parents or mothers is actually a big fault of the Ministry of Justice. And that should have never happened. Because we should have come, whether it is Germany or the Netherlands or Denmark, it's everywhere, France, it's Belgium, it's everywhere the same. And that is also what the Swiss study, in Switzerland too, it's what the Swiss study confirms. We came without official birth certificate. So if you give a child an official birth certificate, there should be the names of the parents, and also irrespectively of the mother was unmarried. So, and then obviously there should have been the consent See, we were not adopted according to Indian law. We were adopted to the law of the Netherlands in your case, and Belgium here in the audience case, or Denmark or Germany in other cases. So a requirement under normal family law is a written consent of the mothers. And that is actually what Wereldkinderen has not on file. I have not done a study on that, but in fact, we should do that. We should go through all files of Wereldkinderen and see in how many cases the relinquishment documents or surrender deeds are missing. I have asked now the German central authority, the German authority who would license the German authorities, and they just replied to me that, no, we have never researched that. And I'm going to put pressure on them to do that, because the Swiss have now done that. But they also only have looked into 48 cases.
But Arun, at that time, means what Durga is saying, during that time, what cases Wereldkinderen give it to me, they were having little story background of that child.
Yeah, it's from the child.
With that background, I looked for the records and organizations and all. Like your sister's family, I found out, if you remember, that was my second case. Even when Root search manager went, even she was not having information of that adoptee. She put pressure on that Indian partner and got the name, like Anjali Pawar from Pune. And with that, I found out that first case where I...
Yeah, but here again, she got the information from India, based on leads which she got from the Wereldkinderen records. Wereldkinderen should have the original birth certificate, should have the relinquishment document, or whatever papers in cases of foundlings, which include the police report, the report of the Juvenile Welfare Board, before the authorities made the child available for adoption. Wereldkinderen does not have those records.
But Goa cases, birth certificates are there.
Goa cases are different.
Only Goa cases. There are few, but those information is not true and correct, because I worked on many Goa cases and...
Yeah, the Goa cases are different. I mean, we can't generalize it. Is your question answered? Or? So I'm really upset, to be very clear, that the Ministry of Justice, Wereldkinderen, do not recognize their mistake. Yeah. Because we, or you, even if you don't do it with us, you have to do it anyway. You have to find the information in India. And we have many cases also of orphanages with respect to Denmark or Sweden or something, where the orphanage is being closed and the records are gone. Finished story. And we have also cases where we found 900 records from the Danish partner, and nobody helps us preserving those records. And also, with respect to the Dutch partners and also to the Belgian partners, these records and this information is being held by the orphanages. Who guarantees that this information is accessible in 5 years? But the management can also decide to burn them. They should not, but they can.
Yeah. And this has happened.
Well, it happened. Anyway, take a break. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, break. How long are we going to take the break?
Let's take 10 minutes.
Yeah.
10 minutes? Okay.
What? You have to switch off mic.
Yeah, you sit there. You can sit there. I'm just going to give a intro. You need to give me the start.
Yeah.
Okay. In 2017, we had a meeting similar to this, closed though not streamed, in Copenhagen. And one Indian Danish man came to the meeting, David Gildendahl. And he was already trying to search for his mother before he came to the meeting. He had engaged the lawyer who was involved in the Danish adoptions with the search. With all fairness, I have to say, she didn't do that bad of a job of trying to trace. She didn't really overcharge him or something. We're also pretty sure whatever work she said she did. He came to us and he had already the name and address of the mother. So I thought it's a very easy search. Turned out not so easy. I will not talk much about it, but I want also to say that this is the first part of a 5-part series, and 10 days ago, or last week only, the series won the Amnesty Media Prize. So the first 3 parts I've put actually on YouTube because they are with English subtitles. This is in Danish, but with English subtitles. The 3 parts are subtitled. The last 2 parts, which just came out 10 days ago or something, last 2 parts are not subtitled. I want to put this into context, that David investigated with the Danish television this particular orphanage, Madras Christian Children's Home, much more, because he also found other adoptees, and other adoptees had already found their families. And we did, for this documentary, we did the field work, also the filming in the field. Anjali was there, not me. This particular orphanage is the category of children where the parents were poor in a crisis, and these were not necessarily unmarried mother cases. So this is the typical category of children who were from poor families or families in crisis, and they were sent abroad without consent, mediated by the Danish, very well known, very well recognized Danish adoption agency. This thing was broadcasted in January. As a result, I'm not saying it's the only thing. We really have to also credit the Chile adoptees in Denmark, and obviously the Korean adoptees who've been fighting also for years, and also Daycare G, who has been fighting for years and now are fighting very hard in Denmark. But it was this documentary which made Denmark stop intercountry adoptions in January. In 31st of October, the Danish agency DIA, the only left agency DIA, shut down. Despite the shutdown, the Danish government wants to continue now. Anyway, let's watch this. Oh, where I have to click? Next? Okay.
Mit liv skulle være anderledes. Jeg har en familie, som jeg er rigtig glad for. Men i virkeligheden, så kunne jeg have haft et helt andet liv. Fordi faktisk skulle jeg aldrig have været adopteret til Danmark. Det skulle aldrig være sket. Hvis man går tilbage til det der foråret 1979. Mine forældre har fået at vide, at de skal ind og hente mig i lufthavnen i Kastrup. De glædede sig til at få et barn, som jeg ventede på, og pakkede bilen fra Lolland og kørte til København, ikke? Det hele var positivt, ikke? grunden til, at jeg kom til Danmark til at starte med, var jo, fordi min mor ikke kunne have mig, fordi hun var fattig. Og så viser det sig, at det var en stor løgn jo, ikke? Altså. Og det gælder ikke kun mig. Der er mange adopterede, som er taget uretmæssigt fra deres forældre og aldrig skulle have været til Danmark. Altså, der er jo nogen, der bliver nødt til at undersøge det her.
Davids historie har jo så mange lag i sig. David har jo arbejdet med det i 10 år, ikke? Og i starten, det var sådan hele tiden, kan det virkelig passe? Er du sikker på det? Men så efterhånden kom der jo flere og flere fakta og mere og mere til historien, ikke? Altså, det er sindssygt, at det kan lade sig gøre. Altså, det er sindssygt, det der foregår.
Det er jo ikke sådan, så jeg har tænkt særlig meget over at være adopteret. Jeg er adopteret fra Indien, og sådan er det bare. Jeg så egentlig bare mig selv som helst af mine andre venner. Jeg forbinder ikke min barndom med nogen, hvad kan man sige, dårligt negativt på nogen måde. Det var en fornøjelse at gå i skole. Komme op og se kammeraterne, og så lave noget, ikke? Det var utroligt trygt, ikke? Altså, alle kendte alle, ikke? Forældrene kendte hinanden. Ja. Min egen far var ufaglært og arbejdede nede på en lokal fabrik. Min mor var uddannet gartner. De kunne ikke få børn, og så havde de vennepar, der adopterede 2 børn fra Indien. Dem er de været ude og snakke med for en kop kaffe sammen med. Så de kom tilbage og tænkte, det lyder som en god idé. Hej, mor.
Hej.
Kommer du ud og siger hej?
Ja.
Hej, mor. Hej.
Hej. Ja, er det ikke flot? Det fik han en fødselsdagsgave.
Nå, flade?
Både stangen og flæde.
Nå, det...
Han har aldrig haft flagstang.
Nå, der er der på nu.
Ja.
Jamen, det er da godt, han er også. Noget af det første, jeg kan huske, min mor viste mig, det var, at da jeg kom ud af den her rulemaskine, der sidder jeg på armen af Pastor George. Det var den her mand her, som drev børnehjemmet, og han var en god mand. Det var ham, som sørgede for, at du kunne komme op til Danmark. Han gjorde noget godt. Hvis man skal være meget bombastisk, kan man nærmest sige, at han gjorde noget godt for menneskeheden, ikke? Vi alle sammen, alle os adopterede, vi fik et bedre liv. Så du husker det billede?
Jo, det er rigtigt.
Det første tegn på, at noget er galt, kom faktisk med det billede, som mine forældre på Lolland modtog, før jeg nogensinde overhovedet er kommet til Danmark.
Ja, men det er lige pludselig et billede af en dreng, der var meget større end han skulle være.
Det var altid lidt sådan, det var jo lidt en joke jo, fordi vi jo alle sammen kunne se, det ikke var mig jo.
Ja, det var da en større dreng. Altså, det så også ud til at være en ældre dreng. Jeg kan altså ikke huske, hvad vi gjorde med billedet.
Ja, der er du gemt jo. Den dreng, der var på billedet, var noget større, han stod op. Og der vi grinede af mange gange igennem årene, hver gang hun har vist mig nogle ting fra Indien og billeder derfra, så hun taget det billede op, så hun sagt, ja, og så fik vi det her billede her, men det er jo ikke dig jo. Min far døde pludselig for mange år siden. Og da vi så ligesom ryddede op, og vi skulle have Han begravet, og vi skulle finde papirer frem og sådan noget. Og der dukkede denne gule mappe op. Min adoptionsmappe, hvor min mor har gemt alt. Og så lige pludselig er der nogle papirer, som helt konkret beskriver, hvor meget jeg vejer, da jeg kommer til Danmark, hvilken dag jeg kommer, hvilken flyvemaskine jeg er med. Der var sendt breve mellem de forskellige ansvarlige myndigheder. Der var en flybillet på KLM, og så videre, ikke? Jeg begyndte måske at få den her tanke om, at der alligevel var nogle ting, som kunne udfylde de første 2 år af mit liv, ikke? Så ringer jeg til adoptionsbureauet, og så min første tanke var, at det er jo, de vil selvfølgelig gerne hjælpe. Jeg var jo ligesom et eller andet sted et af deres børn, ikke? Og det var faktisk fuldstændig modsat, jeg mødte. Hvis det var i forhold til at søge biologisk familie, det der kan du godt glemme. Altså, det er stort set umuligt at finde noget i Indien. Altså, der er ikke noget at komme efter. Det er næsten 30 år siden og så videre. Og vi har ikke andre papirer end dem, som dine forældre har.
Er det mig, tror du? Altså, det ved jeg jo ikke. Altså, jo, jeg tror, at hvis man ser vores datter, så tror jeg.
Men du har det billede, din mor har til at hænge. Hvornår er det fra? Er det fra, mens de er i Danmark?
Ja.
Ja, det er måske ikke. Ja, fordi der passer det meget godt med det ansigt, du har der.
Ja. Der er et land, der ikke stemmer overens i min adoption. Det, jeg ved fra børnehjemmet, jeg ved ikke ret meget ud over de papirer, jeg har. Jeg har 2 historier. I den her mappe, der ligger min sagsakter på min adoption. Herover der står der, at jeg har en mor, og jeg har boet sammen med min mor i 40 måneder. Det står der her. Og så har jeg et papir, hvor der står, at jeg er født af ukendt forældre og blev afleveret på børnehjemmet, da jeg var en uge gammel. Man kan jo ikke have 2 historier på en adoptivbarn. Det kan man jo ikke. Og så begynder jeg at søge og finde ud af, hvad der er op og ned med mig. Jeg havner i en by, der hedder Klejtrup, som er en lille landsby, hvor der er både skole og kirke og butik. Og mine forældre havde jo så en slagterbutik der. Da jeg kommer til Danmark og møder med en adoptivforælder, har de så adopteret en dreng, som er 9 måneder ældre end mig. Og han hedder Martin, og han er også adopteret fra Indien og fra faktisk det samme børnehjem, som jeg kom fra. Altså, vi var kendt i byen som slagterens børn. Ja, eller er du Ellas pige eller Hennings datter? Altså, ja.
Hallo. Hallo. Hej Lise. Kom indenfor.
Ja, tak.
Så.
Må jeg godt tage min plads?
Om du må tage din plads, ja.
Der sidder Janke. Har du været til tandlæge?
Ja, det har jeg. Men der var ikke nogen problemer. Jamen, vi måtte jo adoptere 9 måneder efter vi havde modtaget Martin. Måtte vi jo starte adoptionen af dig. Så kom der besked, at vi havde fået en pige, og hun var så gammel, og der var billede med. Vi fik ikke nogen papir overhovedet, noget med ret eller noget som helst.
Ja.
Vi fik bare besked på, nu, og hun kommer den og den dato.
Ja.
Ja.
Hvordan var jeg, da jeg kom?
Du skreg helt afsindigt. Så hvis der havde været en spejl inde i modtageren, så var der revnet. Vi kunne slet ikke være i rummet, sådan som du skreg.
Jeg tror, jeg har været meget, meget bange i den alder. Noget, der er fuldstændig anderledes end det, jeg kom fra.
Vi var bare så glade for, at vi har fået det, og så...
Ja. Kan du huske, om jeg sagde noget omkring, hvor jeg kom fra og sådan noget?
Det, jeg kan huske, du sagde mange babyer. Det sagde du på engelsk. Mange babyer, sagde du.
Jeg kan ikke være sikker på noget som helst i min adoptionssag overhovedet. Hvilken historie er rigtig? Og ja, og hvem er jeg?
Min første tur til Indien var primært for at opleve Indien. Jeg kunne godt mærke, at jo længere tid er det, jo mere føler jeg mig hjemme og har lyst til at vide endnu mere. Jeg kan bare huske, at tænke, det her, det er super fedt. Der var mennesker, der var køer alle steder, der var dialogte, lyde, dufte. Jeg vil jo egentlig gerne undersøge noget mere om min adoption. Og så var det, at jeg fik fat på en advokat, Susan Joseph. Og lige præcis den advokat havde siddet med alle adoptionssager fra mit børnehjem i slut 70'erne, start 80'erne. Så hun havde arbejdet tæt sammen med lederen af børnehjemmet, Pastor George. Hun siger nogle ting omkring ham, og bruger nogle vendinger, som i hvert fald stiller ham i et knap så godt lys. Pastor George var he was a smart guy, som hun sagde. Han drev flere børnehjem. Lige snart Pastor George, lederen af børnehjemmets navn, blev nævnt på gaden i Chennai, så sagde jeg, at det var ham, der var kendt for at drive det her børnehjem, få masser af penge fra et eller andet land i Europa, uden de lige vidste, hvor det var, og som i øvrigt også var kendt for at franarre forældre deres børn og tage børn på gaden. Det var det samme hver gang. Det var hele tiden uafhængigt af hinanden. Der var et eller andet, både med det børnehjem, men i særdeleshed med lederen, ikke? Det lykkedes mig at møde den læge, som havde tilset alle os børn på børnehjemmet, før vi kom til Danmark. Han skulle skrive nogle rapporter til de danske myndigheder og danske adoptionsbureauer. Og han var inde på lidt af det samme. Kendte udmærket børnehjem, kunne sagtens huske det, og kunne også sagtens huske lederne af børnehjemmet, og hvad der foregik der. Han indikerede også, at han fik store pengebeløb overført fra forskellige lande i Vesten. Så lige pludselig var der flere ting i spil, som gjorde, at måske var der meget mere i det her. Hun var jo enormt gæstfri, Susan der, og kunne lige pludselig begynde at fortælle ret meget om det her børnehjem. Og endnu mere interessant fortælle ret meget om lederen af det danske adoptionsbureau på det tidspunkt, Folmer Lund Nielsen. Og så blev det endnu mere, hvad kan man sige, tydeligt, at der var altså foregået et eller andet her, som skulle undersøges. Det var min første tanke. Min anden tanke var, okay, hvis det virkelig er foregået, hvordan kan danske myndigheder og adoptionsbureauet så ikke være bevidste om det? Og Susan Joseph, advokaten, hun vil gerne kigge på min adoption og se, om hun måske kunne finde noget potentielt familie. Så hun arbejdede videre på den, efter vi tog hjem. En lille måneds tid senere, der var fået fat på nogle papirer. Og så popper den her mail op fra Susan. Og jeg åbner den og læser, hvad hun skriver. Og så må jeg lige læse den en gang til. Og så må jeg lige læse den en tredje gang. Du har en biologisk bror, og den bror er også bortadopteret til Danmark. Det var fuldstændig sindssygt. Det må der være nogen, der har vidst, hvis det var tilfældet. Jeg kunne simpelthen ikke forestille mig i min vildeste fantasi, at det kunne være rigtigt. Så tænker jeg, at jeg bliver selvfølgelig nødt til at tage fat på det danske adoptionsbureau med det samme. Jeg pressede på og sagde, nu prøv at høre, det er mit journalnummer. Det må være muligt for jer ret hurtigt at lige kunne finde en journal ned i jeres arkiver. Og svaret er ligesom, jo, den person findes, og vi kan se på journalerne, at din mors navn står også på hans journal.
Vil du have mit CPR-nummer?
Det er nok i forhold til, at du er opklædt for dit navn.
Ja, altså Lise Rasmussen, og så Indien.
Skal jeg se, om jeg kan slå dig op? Det har du brug for.
Jamen, jeg har da brug for at vide, hvilken historie, der er rigtig. Er det mine forældre, der står på adoptionspapirerne, eller har jeg ukendt forældre? Det er jo det, der står. Ja.
Men når man kan finde, hvad kan man sige, som du kalder det, den rigtige historie, er altid det, der er svært at sige. Fordi nu er der de oplysninger, der er. Og det ved jeg ikke, om man kan finde frem til, men jeg kender mig lidt særlig godt ved Indien, og det er det er.
Jeg kan jo mærke det også på mit eget humør, at jamen, jeg kommer ingen steder, og jeg kæmper og kæmper. Man har en eller anden ting, som ikke kan løses, men man vil gerne have det løst. Og, det er jo, og for mig er det jo kapløb hele tiden, når jeg det her. About the doctor.
No, doctor is not replying anything. I think he just don't want to be associated with whatever his father-in-law.
Jeg presser på hele tiden med agenten i Indien, ikke? Og
Whatever they search for you, it's not there.
Jeg har brugt så meget tid på det her.
Men det har du også.
Jeg synes, det er så svært at finde ud af.
Lige præcis.
Det er så svært at finde ud af, hvem man egentlig er, og hvor man skal søge hjælp, og alle de her procedurer. Og det eneste, jeg bare gerne finde ud af, hvem er jeg egentlig? Hvad hedder jeg? Og hvad er der sket?
Ja, jeg besluttede mig så for at skrive brev. Og så var det så op til min biologiske bror, ligesom at beslutte, om han ville have kontakt. Jeg startede her med at skrive, hej, jeg hedder David og er 35 år. Jeg er opvokset på Lolland, men har boet de sidste 14 år i København. Og så er jeg adopteret fra Chennai, Indien.
Vi kender ikke hinanden, men vi har alligevel noget til fælles. Du er min biologiske bror. Du sidder sikkert lige så overrasket nu, som jeg gjorde, da jeg fik beskeden i torsdags. Jeg har lige siden været ret forvirret, meget spændt og meget nysgerrig. Jeg kan ikke begribe, at jeg rent faktisk har en biologisk bror i Danmark, og jeg vil utrolig gerne møde dig. Jamen, det virkede helt skørt. Men samtidig også en eller anden form for varme, også, altså kærlighed. Altså, jeg kan ikke, det er lidt svært at beskrive. Det var sådan lidt, kan det passe det her? Han kom jo over og besøgte mig, og min søn var helt vild. Han rendte frem og tilbage og tog imod ham.
Og så stod Martin inde i døren og stod med det største smil på. Og så hilste jeg på ham. Så hyggeligt at møde dig. Når i den duer der, ikke? Og så tror vi sådan lige står og kigger lidt på hinanden.
Vi giver hinanden en kram, og så kigger vi rent faktisk på hinanden. Sådan lidt længe. Jeg tror egentlig bare, vi stusser. Er der nogle ligheder?
Det var den første person, jeg nogensinde mødte i hele mit liv, som havde nogle af de samme træk, som jeg havde. Det billede, der var blevet sendt til mine forældre, Jeg tænker, at det billede der, på en eller anden måde er det blevet forbyttet. Så da jeg møder ham første gang, der har jeg det billede med, og så viser jeg ham det billede, og siger, at det er jo mig jo. Jeg har egentlig haft det billede af min biologiske bror derhjemme, altid, vi har bare ikke vidst, hvem det var. Og så derudover, der fortæller han mig jo, at han har også en adopteret søster. Og tænker ikke nærmere over det, før han siger, at det er jo i øvrigt fra samme børnehjem som os. Og så havde det sådan lidt, okay, og det skulle lige vildt, ikke?
Så, ja. Skal vi se, om hun er hjemme?
Min biologiske brors lille søster, som også var for det børnehjem der. Som Martin så voksede op med, ikke?
Hej, Lise. Hej. Nu får du også en krammer. Ja, tak. Fedt at se dig.
Ja, det skal jeg lige se.
Langt ud. Nå ja, det har du aldrig.
Nej. Jeg har set... altså, du er lidt højere, selvom du er lillebroren.
Ja. Han har også mere... nu er mit skæg jo ikke vokset ud, men ellers så... Jeg tror faktisk, du var gråhåret før mig, fordi mit det er lige pludselig.
Men det var jeg helt sikkert efter, jeg fik dit. Så jeg boede i det fint.
Ja.
Jeg tror faktisk, det er Martin, der ligesom nævner, at hans søster var 5 år, da hun kom herop. Hun har altid haft en mistanke om, at der har været noget ved hendes adoption, som ikke rigtig stemmer. Hun har fået nogle forskellige navne. Hun har haft et navn lige nede i Chennai, altså, hvor hun blev flyttet op til New Delhi og fik et andet navn. Men det er bare endnu en historie, der passer ned i rækken af andre historier, jeg havde fra det børnehjem. Og de ting, vi har hørt på gaden i Chennai. Jeg kan på ingen måde bare lade det her ligge.
Det er helt mærkeligt, at jeg boede på samme børnehjem.
Folk må spørge til nogle af de børn her, så siger Pastor George jo, nogle af dem er klar, og andre er ved at blive gjort klar, men de er stadig hjemme hos forældrene. Ja. Der var også et eller andet projekt, som var udefinerbart. Altså jeg tænkte nu, hvad kan det ende med? Jeg er sikker på, at vi så kunne få fat på de andre og mange børn fra de børnehjem, der vi begyndte at kigge ned i sagerne, ikke? Så er der sandsynlighed for, at der er rigtig meget, der er foregået her, som aldrig nogensinde skulle tåle at se dagens lys. Altså, den er meget, meget stor, ikke?
Vi deler jo en skæbne.
Vi bliver jo trekløver nu.
Ja, yes. Lise,
ja.
Kan du have det godt? Det var hyggeligt.
Ja, vi snakkes.
Ja, vi tager ved, ja.
Så efter jeg har fundet Martin, fortsætter min søgning efter min mor. Og i virkeligheden søgning efter sandheden. Altså, hvad er der foregået? Susan Joseph finder frem til en adresse, hvor vores forældre muligvis skulle have boet. Og jeg finder selv frem til en adresse. Det, der så sker, det er at få fat på en person, Angeline, som har hjulpet mange adopterede med at søge efter familie i Indien.
So let's find out 1/37.
Okay, let's do that.
Let's find out 1/37. Maybe we will know the building. And can you...
Altså lige pludselig kører vi ind i den gade her, og så kigger jeg op på det hus, hvor vi vidste, at der er de boede. Og så kom naboerne ud. De kan godt huske vores forældre, og de kunne også huske, at de har haft 2 drengebørn. De boede deroppe på den etage, ikke? Og var på, drengene var væk på et tidspunkt, og de var vist blevet skilt og sådan noget. Men det hele, altså hele den idé om, jeg havde haft om Indien, og jamen, vi er født ud i den fattigste slummer nærmest efter. Altså, sådan var det bare ikke. Begge vores forældre også haft job. Det kunne de naboerne også huske. Altså, hvis Martin og jeg var blevet hos dem, så kunne det lige så godt være ham og jeg, der havde spillet cricket ned på vejen, ikke? Men ret hurtigt finder jeg også ud af, at De kan huske dem, og de kan huske, at de havde 2 drengebørn, men de ved ikke, hvor de er i dag. Anjali foreslår, at vi benytter os af de indiske medier.
My name is David Kumar. I'm 41 years old.
Så der blev lavet alle mulige artikler og tv på det.
Those papers said that I had a brother who was also adopted in.
I håbet om, at der var nogen, der ville se det og kunne genkende et eller andet. Ikke? Og så ud af det blå en eller anden aften, så skriver, det var i juli måned 2018, så skriver Anjali til mig, at hun har et billede af min mor. Jeg ser mig selv som lille, siddende på skødet af hende. Det ser ud som om, at det her billede er taget på børnehjemmet. Bagved i det her billede, der står Pastor George. Martin sidder ved siden af på skødet af Pastor Georges kone, så vi sidder lige ved siden af hinanden. Vi er jo sammen med vores mor, og Martin og jeg, vi er sammen, ikke? Altså, igen var der et eller andet her, der virkede. Altså, hvorfor er hun på billedet? Hvorfor er hun overhovedet på børnehjemmet? Det var den ene ting. Den anden ting, hvor er vores far? Hvorfor er det billede overhovedet blevet taget? Og min næste tanke, det var så, okay, nu har vi et billede. Det kan vi bruge i syningen. Nu bliver vi simpelthen nødt til at finde. Altså, vi var rundt alle steder. Det var hver dag, ikke? Og tidligere op om morgenen, og så sent hjem om aftenen, ikke? Og vi var inde på alle mulige kontorer, altså rådhus og på forskellige politistationer. Og så nogle steder gik vi fra dør til dør og bankede på, ikke? Og når man så en dag, så blev jeg jo kontaktet på stort set alle sociale medier. Den ene og samme person, som fortæller mig, at han er min fætter, og han ved, hvem min mor er, og han ved, hvor hun bor. Og jeg må meget gerne kontakte ham. Og så ser jeg min mor der en oktoberdag i 2019, ikke? Det hun så kan fortælle mig, bekræfter den mistanke, jeg har haft på det tidspunkt i 6 år.
No, it's on now? Okay. Oh, heavy. I also see it now for the second time only. So. First time?
Yeah, I never saw. It gives me really emotional things.
So it was clearly, all the parts which were, filmed on the mobile were actually by me. It's quite interesting also. Ah, you have to put your microphone on. Yeah. Quite heavy story, but it's only the first part.
Yeah.
There are 5 others. As said, there's 2 more with English subtitles. If you text me, if anyone texts me, you can find me, Aaron Dola on Facebook. If you text me, I'll send you the link. Yeah. It's quite it was quite a difficult search, and I really remember also we had given up on media. We had David's story went really viral. It's not something in our control, but we really try our level's best to get stories viral, to get them, because India is a big country with really different languages, so many different medias. Just having one story in an English newspaper will not help. So we really tried to get the stories viral. And then we were in the hotel and somebody was saying, we want to do a documentary, we're coming from Chennai. And I was like, oh no, not one again. Not one. And we were like, no, we're so tired. And then we said, this was the documentary, which then aired a few weeks later, or 2 weeks later. And that was this documentary with the cousins. So we had tons of media, and this one thing did. Never give up.
Yeah.
Any thoughts from your side or from the streaming audience? Yeah, go ahead.
So this is a case of human trafficking, which is clear. To what extent are the adoptive parents to blame or responsible for this? Could they have known?
One has to... I mean, in case of my adoptive parents who were educated in the academics, I blame them because they were not stupid. I mean, not that these parents are stupid, but these were clearly unskilled workers who had heard about it, who have been presented a story, and they did not. My adoptive parents went to India themselves and did it. Okay, so one has to really. Could they have known? Maybe they could have known, but there was no internet. So you go by hearsay and you give what you see in the TV. And we also had these programs here in the Netherlands, you know, which show the poverty in the third world countries, and it was poor at that time. India was not like that. Like today. Hello? Yeah. So basically, David's adoptive parents, I would say they probably could not have known. And they went to a Danish licensed adoption agency. And obviously, you believe as a Danish or Dutch person, or even me as a German person, if you turn to an agency which was licensed by the state, you believe that, or you like to believe that at least. I mean, one has to, it's very difficult how to blame adopt, or when or how to blame. I mean, just in general, blame is a heavy word. I mean, obviously also, every adoptive parents paid a lot of money. That was also clear.
Who gets the money?
The agency and all the mediators in between. So it's really difficult to pinpoint that on the adoptive parents. In my own case, I do that with my adoptive parents, but I think in David's case, it would be unfair to. They really turn to a licensed agency. It is the agency to blame, and it is the Danish authorities to blame. And it is the same case with Wereldstkinderen and Meiling, with the basic Dutch agencies. Okay, is there any question from the audience, streaming audience?
So we have a question from Paula who asks, there's a question concerning the usage of media. Because it was mentioned before that it's not always a safe way to use when searching for biological family. So the question is, can you explain how you use the media in a sensitive manner that respects and protects the birth mother?
Okay, so I will repeat the question. The question from the streaming audience is how we can use media, which also keeps, in such a manner that it keeps the birth mother safe. I leave it to Anjali. Kindly do that very quick.
Actually, in unwed mothers' cases, means we used media, but that time we were really discreet with the names. We are giving stories that, for example, as I said, I use always my name rather than unwed mothers' names. That okay, from Pune, from this area, Pawar family, this girl gave a child to adoption agency, or XYZ person found out child, we never said that she delivered. This family, somebody from this area found the child and gave away to this adoption agency. If anybody knows who gave that child, then like that. But we are not disclosing, identifying information in the media when we are searching for the mothers. But like David's cases, where normal families, where parents are married and missing child, or due to some vulnerable situation they gave their children, and there is no privacy secrecy, no unmarried or widow case. In those cases, we are taking names, and like David's case, the mother's name was there. So we were searching with the mother's name, father's name, and all those things.
But they were clearly a married couple, so there was no that social stigma. We also have to say that specifically in unmarried, so-called unmarried mother cases, we do not like to use media. So we would like to avoid it, but it is a last resort. So we are not stopping then, so we try with media. And is there one more question? So basically, I mean, you cannot keep really, basically it's very risky to go to media if you use unmarried mother cases. And also, again then, I can only say the risk for the mothers, even if you use media, is high. But we also have a network, and Anjali is strong. And Anjali is strong enough also. If the situation goes out of hand, we can manage the situation, hopefully. So I remember, we want to recount that quickly. I remember when Anjali and me were on a trip on our first investigation into current adoption cases. She actually made a mistake. Right?
We were asking parents' name, means grandparents' name in that case, that we are looking for those grandparents. We were not taking mother's name, but we always used if there is paper and some other people's name are there, so we were searching those people and not mother. So I was asking for that family, and that boy whom I asked is the son of that family. And he said, why you wanted to meet? I will talk to them and this. Then we talked, and then parents told him that time that, okay, your sister had, and already sister married off and something happened. She came back home and she was staying in the home only, and whole mess. And then I talked with the boy, and because I'm a social worker and I know how to handle such kind of situation, cool that man. Even as parents were knowing this whole situation, that's why it was easier to control that boy. And then he handled further things. But it was first time, it's a first.
No, he was really
angry.
Yeah, he was really, really angry, and because they were upper caste family where there's a lot of family reputation to lose.
Yeah.
He threatened to kill that
woman, or his sister.
Yeah. So that was also for me a kind of an experience to how to handle such a situation, to prevent that from happening, and also following up. We don't know, what happened.
Yeah, we also learned from our mistake. That was our first.
So these things can go wrong. So we really do not like to use media, and we hope. We also cannot guarantee that, but we hope if the situation goes wrong, we'll be able to handle the situation. We also have really networks over India. So it's not that we, specifically Maharashtra, we have a huge network of people we can rely on. So we can. So it's not like we do. It's not like it's really difficult to use.
Unwed mothers cases, I really don't trust quickly to anybody. I can give some assign some. Okay, I wanted to know this community, this. But I never say, and then I myself do unwed mothers cases, because we are putting somebody's whole family and that woman's life on stake. So we should not make a single minor mistake that will, and this incident happens in 2007. That time we just started, we were investigating for some
but it's
organization, that's another story. But then later on, we learned.
Any more questions?
Yeah.
So
in the chat. It says some adoptees have expressed that their reluctance to search is a matter of feeling unsafe in regards to how searchers may handle their gender and sexual identities. For example, adoptees who belong to the queer community might be afraid that searching in India, for example, will reveal their gender transition or sexual orientation and thus put their lives at risk in India. Have you encountered any of these challenges, and can you then maybe elaborate on how do you address and how do the searchers make the efforts to use the correct names and pronouns as part of their diversity, equity, and inclusion approach?
I mean, India is a very diverse country in all kinds of aspects. So, but it is also a very conservative country. Yeah. So, on one hand, you have a very vibrant LGBTQI community, a very modern urban LGBTQI community. You have, of course, the transgender community, which is now also recognized as third gender, which is being looked down upon, unfortunately. But people know that there's something different than just straight. I would say we are able to handle those situations. I'm not saying the situations are easy. I think if LGBTQI people come to India, they will find a very vibrant LGBTQI community in the urban areas, which is very nice, actually. And at the same time, we had cases from gay or lesbian adoptees, and we do not necessarily reveal that if we find the parents, right? Immediately. I mean, we're not revealing.
Because in one case, mother is asking when she is going to get married, and I'm saying.
So you don't do that in the first meetings or something. So, I mean, it is like, you know, one has to deal with it sensitively, also taking into account the culture. Does not mean that I don't think anybody will be killed because of that, or there's any danger. It's just like here also. It's not that easy to be LGBTQI or having transitioned. It is a challenge, and it will be a challenge in India too. But I don't see any big problem, because I mean, people are also not living behind the moon. So I don't think there's any big problem.
Yeah, there is no big problem, but I recently encountered with one situation, adoption agency, and this boy, she I was not knowing, but this adoption agency person was saying, "Oh, why you are having this hair? Cut it, be like a man." And I was like, "Oh, I think I know this person." And I remember that he sent me some pictures being a woman and all, and I was like, okay. And I was telling that, stop, don't make any comments, I was sending her message, don't make any comments, because we don't know if we are hurting him. Yeah. We don't know what it is.
But if you go to Christian missionaries organization, obviously they will not accept it, but that's also not true. So when we talk to the nuns, actually, we are also unmarried, so to speak. So if we talk to them, they laugh about us, but they also accept it. I mean, they're also not living.
No, but afterwards they are telling me, "Oh, you please get married to him. Don't stay like that." And I was like,
okay. Well, you know, that's when you deal with nuns. I mean, what to expect? It's what it is. There are more questions? Any questions from you?
Durga.
Are you worried that if you get any subsidy from government or whatever, that you need to reveal all your information?
No.
What means?
If you get subsidy from the Dutch government.
Like, for example.
Yeah, let's say we get that. No, the law in India is very clear.
Yeah.
The information we get in India. So it's Indian jurisdiction. Nobody can force us or Anjali. I don't know.
Doctor.
Nobody can force Anjali to reveal the information to the adoptee. I'm not afraid of that.
No, you are talking about mothers, or you are talking about funds?
Yeah, I am actually thinking of where all these funds are coming from, like.
Yeah, you have to. because
So how far are you giving data to the people who give you?
if we are
I mean, you mean the Ministry of Justice?
Like, for example, if you get money, how far does it go? Are you ever concerned about this?
First of all, unfortunately, we don't get any cent of funding. The Ministry of Justice has denied us everything. Not even the little fund. Assuming we're getting funds, we're still operating and working in India. So we had adoptees who think they can sue us to reveal unmarried mothers' details. They sent lawyers against us.
No, she is completely, I think, asking something else. We are having Indian system where we have to submit all the money, financial things to, if we are registered under Companies Act, we have to
No,
submit.
wait, then I don't understand your question. Let me.
I'm sorry, maybe I should
Yeah.
How do you protect your archive? Like, you do everything in secret and like, protected. So how do you keep it like that? Because on the other hand, you need organizations, you need fundings, you need. So are you ever worried about it, like meetings like this, or you get fundings from the Netherlands or in India?
We cannot reveal. I mean, first of all, there's the data protection in GDPR. I mean, pertaining to whatever act is registered in the Netherlands. So we have to follow the GDPR, like anybody. And whatever information Anjali is getting as a lawyer, as a law office, basically, or Adoptee Rights Council as an Indian registration, we have to follow Indian law. And no one from the West can force Anjali or force Adoptee Rights Council to reveal any information which is against Indian law. That is Indian jurisdiction.
Yeah.
And the GDPR is very complicated. At the end, it's not so complicated, but it's very difficult for organizations, for every organization, to handle the data protection rules. So, and we do not reveal information to other people, and nobody, the Ministry of Justice, and nobody can actually force us.
And even adoptees information, if we wanted to use even media, we are taking consent of adoptees that, okay, we have to do this, are you ready for that? And then with that, we are doing it, otherwise, no. So without consent, nothing. Because we are working with individuals, humans. So it's not typical so-called developing social work where people are putting children's photos and asking for money and all. That kind of social work I personally don't like. And I hate it, and I expose many of these child care institutions in India also. I'm fighting them hard. And they don't like, that's why this social work field, those people don't like me. Because I said, okay, you don't need, means it's state government's responsibility to take care of children and not yours. So don't beg with children. So that kind of social work we don't like. And
is
about
that
privacy.
Clear or no? To be very clear about that is that we really, if Anjali, or if we get information about the biological parents, so-called biological parents, and specifically about an unmarried mother, I will explain that also again. We go search for the mother discreetly. We convince the mother, which is not that easy, to meet the adoptees at least one time. And we have a contract with we make contracts. We have a contract with the adoptees, which is also clearly written that we respect whatever the mother decides. And if there's a reunion, obviously they get to know each other. So then it's up to the mother to decide what and how much information should be shared with the adoptees. So we're really protective of the mothers, which does make adoptees very angry at times. And generally, not our clients, but generally the wider adoptees in the community or the adoptee leaders, which I call them, makes them very angry. Because they say it's my right. And if soon, so Child Identity Protection also, the organization which is now the prime organization for identity rights, they're writing very clear that our obligation would be the moment we get information from about the mother, our obligation should be to immediately share that with the adoptee. And what happens then, we have seen it also. Because we do not get funds. So adoptees have to pay our time. And adoptees may not have that money. And in their desperation, they put their information out on Facebook.
Yeah.
Or they hire a tourist guide, because I have also people telling me, see, Aaron, I only want to hire Anjali to go to my orphanage to get the information. After that, I don't need her anymore because I can do it over Facebook. I have people literally writing that to me. And this is not possible. We cannot, I have people going after me on social media that I'm exploiting adoptees because of that. We cannot give the information until the mother has agreed.
Mother needs to agree.
Yeah.
And I'm damn sure that I'm convincing mothers. That's one mother who says, but after 1 month, because she was having my card, she called me and she said, okay, I would like to meet her, but not here. But then we inform her, but she said, no, I respect her wish at the beginning, so I will not disturb her. But she asked in between, can you check how she is? And then I'm going, she is a vegetable vendor. I'm going, buying things from her, and then, hi, how are you? Your daughter is asking.
So
buying and going, it's like that.
Okay, let's go to the next question. We are running.
Let's save the last question till the end.
Okay.
Because it does not relate specifically to the document.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going through this rather quickly. Okay. It's about how we work. And I think every other organization works in a similar manner. There may be some small differences. I will go through this very quickly because everyone can also contact me. And after people have contacted me, I will also explain that. So the first step, I will stand up because otherwise I cannot see this. The first step is basically the intake. It's like any other organization or whatever. So you should send an email with all the information that you have about your adoption. Whatever you have been told, whatever letters you may have gotten from your adoptive parents, whatever shadow file may be Wereltkinderen has provided or the adoption agency. Just please send it to us. And yes, we keep that safe. And of course, primary, the documents in English are of importance, but I would also really like to have the Dutch documents or Belgian documents, because for me it's also important as an organization to understand the different laws and different regulations for our app. It's not necessarily directly for the search, but it's important for me to understand what happened in Denmark, how happened it in the 70s, how happened it in the 90s, how happened it in Switzerland, how happened it in Germany. That is important for our advocacy. Yeah. You can basically scan the documents, or you can just take photos with the smartphone in our office, make the PDF. And if as adoptee you don't have any information, please contact us anyway. We will guide you where you can get maybe some. And we will need a little bit. Then the rest we can find in India also. We are trying. Sometimes we actually are overworked. So I'm basically trying to respond within 3 days. Here I say 14 days. In case I don't respond, then it's very clear either the email I've sent went to the spam box, or I have just overlooked it. And our office, it shouldn't happen, but it happened. So in case we don't respond, then something went wrong. Just send me a message on Facebook Messenger or email again. But it has happened that our email has gone to the spam box. So latest, if you don't receive a response in 14 days, something is odd. What we do is we categorize cases. We say, I use the word foundling again. Because I use the word foundling because in the paperwork, even of relinquished adoptees, is the word written abandoned. and adoptees do not have the legal knowledge or the experience to actually immediately see that. I see that in two minutes. In fact, it's very easy. Not in all cases, by the way, but in many cases I can very quickly differentiate, is the adoptee court committed, admitted to the children's home by the court? Then in most, with 99%, the child was a foundling somewhere. Or processed falsely as foundling, can also be. Or the child was relinquished. When the adoptee was relinquished, we can solve these cases. These cases we cannot solve. Foundling, how we will search. As explained, what we do in foundling cases is trying to get all the paperwork and put it in the media.
We search for the people who found them and all. And one case we found the mother.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to find out is the paper trail available or not. And the second step is the easiest step. So the belief is that Anjali just goes to the orphanage, or the adoptee travels to India and thinks they go to the orphanage and they get the information. It's not that easy. It took me, in my own case, 17 years. And a fight up to the Supreme Court of India. And we fight in each case, still in most cases. Fight to get access. Currently we have a few orphanages, a few agencies who are actually cooperative with her. Because they know two things. They know she's not going to go after them in criminal cases, which actually I filed my case as a criminal case, so people are afraid of us and of me and her. So they know. So they decide also, and they're also, but our approach is basically, if you're cooperative, whatever happened, happened. Regarding searches or old cases, specifically in India, our interest is only to assist the adoptees tracing back the families.
No, and I clearly tell these adoption agencies also, whatever happened in past, I don't want to look into this. But today, if you are doing this, I'm not going to leave you like this. So that they knows that I'm not going to do any bad to them. And they also knows that if they continue doing shit with children and sending children like this, I will not spare them. They knows that. So they are.
We have filed many cases.
Yeah.
So we have built a certain reputation.
Closed down many organizations.
We closed down things. So people know we're not just tourist guides. We really fight the system, and we fight, it's a big country, central government authorities, which is not that easy. Then, of course, we try grouping adoptees, and we try, to do, cases from Calcutta together, cases from Bangalore together. We work all over India. And our objective is to find the name and address, and basically some of the background information. It is difficult. We strive, we're actually better now, we strive to update adoptees. It's written in the contract every 3 months. Some adoptees, and then I also appreciate that they say they want more regularly because they're having anxiety or something. Then we try also to facilitate that. Basically, in practice, you can message me. Sometimes it's a bit lots of work, but I really understand that while sitting in Belgium or the Netherlands or sitting in the West, let's say, you want to know what's happening in India, and that's far away. And it's also a real challenge to explain the Indian stuff and also our stuff. That, the reporting is very important. So we really try to make reports, but in our offices also cycle of reporting. See, so it is really difficult. It's a challenge because we are not only dealing with one case. So we're trying 3 months. In practice, this is so, as adoptee, you can just message me and or drop an email and I respond, whatever the stage is. 3 months is written in the contract, but we are not hard on that. The third step is actually the actual search. Once we have found the essential data, she's basically doing the searches. As she said, she's also not trusting other people of searching for
unmarried mothers, yeah.
And that's what we use, a combination of a careful built-up network in India, but at the end of the day, she's doing it. So it's not like we're giving...
Yeah. We are having also staff, but I just said, okay, relocate the area, which is find out this list, that list, but wait, I'll come and then we will do further.
So it's been very difficult to find people who have the skills.
Skills.
Not only skills, but understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. The understanding.
Understanding of the importance.
Correct. The understanding of the importance and how to do it. And we don't have funding that has really hit us very hard.
Yeah.
Or hit me very hard. I haven't been able to replicate it. I'm totally for cloning people because she needs to be cloned. But since actually cloning is not possible, it needs training.
Yeah.
And we want women, actually. We want women to approach women and not men. And finding women in India is very difficult. I mean, there are lots of women, but you know, there are either young girls who just got married. They cannot travel. You need to travel. Or if they are senior social workers and her age, they sit in office job. They're not going to go out in the villages and fields.
And this mentality, why Anjali doing this? Those mothers are settled now. They are having their own life. Why you are disturbing that? Ask those children, be happy, be there and just live your life. I saw in India, all social workers or all so-called educated people, they are having this mentality. Oh, they are in the best economic countries, let them be there. Why they are coming here? Why they are disturbing? No one is going to, they will say, oh, it's good. But if you said, okay, can you help me? No, I can't. They don't want to. So, we found some people, but then their parents are not allowing them to
often,
travel.
You know, people who are 30, 32, 33 women, social workers, good people, they're divorced. And then they're staying with their mother, with their family, and their family would not allow them to travel alone as a woman. That's not done in India. You cannot travel.
Yeah.
So finding staff and training the staff is a huge problem, and if we don't have the funds for that it's even more difficult. So it is one of the most frustrating things for me that I'm not capable of quartering her, you know? It's a huge pressure also, because we really need more time, working time, and her, I mean, it's just natural, her time is limited.
Yeah. Have a spot, a single point of failure.
Yeah.
If anything happens.
Yeah, so we really need to. And it's the Ministry of Justice, it's also the adoptees who are boycotting us. I mean, it's also the adoptees who bad-mouthing us and boycotting us and are not understanding the efforts behind it. So really the belief is you just go, you know, you just go find the, I mean, really the gap is so huge that the adoptees basically believe that you go to the orphanage, you get the information, and you trace the mother. So they compare it to searches in Sri Lanka or whatever, where a tourist guide maybe can find it. But it's not like that. And it is only, even in Sri Lanka, only in some of the cases like that. In Sri Lanka, the adoptees actually have the name and address of the parents. But it's not that, okay, next one. Once we find the location of the mother, and the important thing, we expect a DNA test. We can never promise that we get that, but we really now get in all cases DNA.
Yeah.
We had cases where it does work. Next step. Reunion. Our standards are very high. First of all, like in the unmarried mother cases, we do not share the information. We ask the adoptees to come. I mean, standard. Very rarely we do WhatsApp reunions. Standard procedure for most other organizations. We don't do it. Once we found the family, we asked the adoptees to come within 12 months. It also means that once we have found the mothers want to see the adoptees. So if the adoptee suddenly says, no, I don't have any interest anymore, that's very bad for us and for the mothers, because we open up their wounds, their trauma. We have contact to almost all mothers since 2004. And yeah, we expect that the travel plans are coordinated with us. And here's very important, in my opinion. It's something people do not talk about. What happens after you have found the family? Many other organizations are just about matches. Okay, I have a match, and then I share the phone numbers, and now they're on their own. But you have a poor family in India with social conditions, different conditions, who may not speak English. They may have also a different mindset, and you have suddenly the adoptee who is living in the golden land where money grows on trees. So one of the first things which happens is always money becomes a problem very quickly. So we coach the families, we coach the mothers, we coach the adoptees. We try to handle the situation. And we are there for a longer time also. Not to make money, as sometimes alleged, but my goal is not post-adoption services where you just meet the mother and you go back to your life. My goal, our goal, is to facilitate an ongoing relationship which needs to be negotiated first. And that needs help. Adoptees cannot do that themselves. And I've also learned from mistakes. It's not like we did not make mistakes. We made every mistake you can make. Eventually, our clients will first meet up with their family. Finally, we will share all the information, provided the family agrees. Aftercare. We are there. We have also written in the contract that we do that for free, because we cannot charge for aftercare. Sometimes we need to facilitate a phone call and things like that. We cannot really charge for that. That's when you hire us or engage us, it's all in up to a certain level. And specifically in unmarried mother cases, in unmarried mother cases, we need to be in between. We have adoptees who have now met their mothers first or second time, and we have to arrange the meeting discreetly. And there, for the second meeting, we actually charge. It's very unfortunate that we have to charge for that, but how to do it otherwise, as long as the Ministry of Justice doesn't fund us. But ultimately, like David or whatever, David you saw now, he is having his own contact with his family, more or less. And
then issue
came up, but we are still there for the adoption.
So
it's not like,
sometimes we tell adoptees not to show money or share things without discussing with us, because whatever it is, Indian culture is different. Even today also, my mother is educated, she is a retired government worker, she is having her pension, but she expects every month some money for her. She is spending on her grandchildren, but she wants from me. And it's also my responsibility. If my mother expects anything from me, and she gave me birth, she gave me education and all, it's my responsibility. So you are having social system and everything old age, but in India it's not there. So India, getting married, having children, getting old, children are now getting married and taking care of old parents as well as taking care of their own children. So this is the cycle. So in India, children has to take care of their parents when they grow old and cannot able to work. So this is the system in India, and all parents expects financial support from their children who is doing well. Probably they can get the weaker child, but they ask, openly ask, okay, you have to send this much money. We have to. But then we are coaching those parents, okay, this child is now in foreign countries, it's different. They grow in different culture, so you cannot expect anything from that child. But still sometimes neighbors, relatives, these putting some things in their mind, we only allow in some medical conditions, otherwise we don't allow. So in those situations, then bypassing us, if without our knowledge this child and parents are talking, then these money things come up, like in David's case also came, and then he told me, okay, this happened. Then I talked with mother and brother, and it's for that brother, other son, she asked actually. Then it's things happens, and then adopted thinks, oh, they are looking at me for money only, so I'm like, they are milking me. This wrong opinions about their biological family should not occur. That's why we are coaching both the parties, and this need to be done really carefully.
It is also really not much discussed in the adoptee community.
Yeah.
What happens after that? And I really have to say that I also went into that trap when we found back my adoptive sister's mother. And you feel obliged as an adoptee because for 500 euro, it's not that much. It's not a lot of money, but it's not that much. We can afford that. But once you start, you have a problem. And this is something really not talked about, where I'm very clear that adoptees need to be accompanied in this process. Otherwise, it's going for heartbreak. And we have cases, I don't want to share that much, but we have cases where we see the heartbreak on both sides. The relationship breaks down. So you have to facilitate as organization, or it needs an organization, it needs social work to facilitate contact in such a manner that also some kind of relationship is there and maintained over the years. We are not doing this work just for a quick match. I do understand that this is what post-adoption services are. You just meet the mother, and then you go back to your Dutch or Belgium life, and you'll be happy, and then you forget about that mother anyway. That was slum. So so we want to really help adoptees to reconnect with their families, and the families also.
And the mothers keep calling me all the time.
Okay, let's go to the next. Here I'm talking about the category of relinquished adoptees. Money, money, money. Money, money, money make the world go round. I cannot work without money. I cannot. And actually nobody can. If people can, then they put their own resources into. I've done that. Until I had no resources anymore. I've even sold my car, by the way.
Yeah.
To set up Adoptee Rights Council. I have no resources. I don't need to have a brain. But this is why people hate me, because take money. We are the most expensive organization in this world. What did I do? In 2012, 13, we made a first group search. Unfortunately, he cannot be there. Martijn Burkamp organized that. He's also board of the UAE. We made a group search. It was totally crazy. We took up 4 cases together, and we went into the field 10 days, 1 week, or what?
5 days.
Yeah, 5 days only. We solved 3 out of 4 cases.
Yeah.
Wow, that was really fantastic work. Okay, the 4th case was not solved. And in 2016, we would do the same. We didn't have a fee schedule. I just didn't know how to charge for that. But you have to charge something. And I also had to pay her, because I was living on unemployment money. In India, you don't have unemployment money. How I financed my life was unemployment money mainly. I didn't do anything wrong. When I have to go to India, I have to tell the Arbeitsagentur, is that in Germany, you have to tell them. So I have to take off from my unemployment when I travel to India. So anyway, 2016, we did another group search. It went totally wrong. Wrong in the sense that we solved 1 case.
Yeah.
It's actually a documentary about it, a Swedish case from Jyoti Swan. What's it called? Manufactured Orphans. Also won a prize. But the other 2 cases, no, 3 cases.
Yeah, adoption agency was not having any.
Yeah, but the other cases we could not solve.
And this is one agency closed down because of malpractices and documents.
And we're still fighting that. But the thing is, 3 adoptees paid.
Yeah.
And we solved 1 case. So these other 2 adoptees were pissed. They were saying, you didn't work on our case.
And actually we worked more on their cases than this.
Yeah, but we also didn't really have time entries and client management software, so how to tell that? So these adoptees were pissed. So I realized that doesn't work. To work on a fee group, and it wasn't about the money that we didn't ask much money. It wasn't about that they were pissed about the money. They had enough money, I would say. So they're not like, they were pissed about the fact that they could not yeah, that they were not able to solve their case, and they paid. It didn't mean that they pay. I actually charged too low. So it's my fault. I understand that they were. So what I did was calculating in 2016, 2017, I realized either I can stop this work. In fact, my adoptive parents withdrew their support for me. So they told me either you sell Google ads or you have to make a business out of that. They literally said that. I didn't like that. But I come from business. So at the end, I decided, yeah, I don't really want to make a business out of it, but if I have to run it like a business or stop it, then I run it like a business. And a non-profit still has to function with the same things. So I calculated. We took between 400 hours to solve a case. That's what it takes. If you run a Dutch organization, you have to calculate with 50 to 100 euros an hour. If you multiply that, you get to 20,000 euros. So I'm charging 20,000 euros for the cases where I'm rather sure we can solve them. Now I understand that most middle-class people do not have 20,000 euros because I was a financial consultant selling financial products to middle-class people. So I know what people earn and what they can afford. So I said in 2017, and also I said that in the Netherlands at the meeting, we had a similar meeting in 2018, also in Utrecht actually. I said very clearly, I go to India and I will set up Adoptee Rights Council, and you please give me money, adoptees, and we will work on your cases and advocacy and etc. And I divided these 20,000 euros because I know nobody can easily pay 20,000 euros at once. I divided those 20,000 euros to 7 years, through 7 years. That is, forget, I have never charged 50 euros for the intake, but it was written on the website. I've never charged for a review of documents, hardly. But I take 2,500 euros from adoptees in the beginning. Then I ask adoptees to contribute, or I call it subscription, 200 euros per month. So this way, if you add it up, 2,500 euros plus 7 years, 200 euros per month, these are 20,000 euros at the end. And that are the costs. And this way, I'm able to tell you, the adoptees, from the beginning, what are the costs? And there's no extra costs for the search as such. There's no like, oh, I need more money for that. No. I've actually calculated this too low, but that's another thing. So it's for 7 years. But this is only when we are successful. Our obligation is to find in 2 years the name and address of the biological family. If we cannot find that, the adoptee has a right to cancel the contract. Because also if we cannot find any name and address, how will we search? And in total, we have 3 years. In fact, it's a bit wrongly written. That actually, I just realized. But we actually have in total 36 months to trace the family of the adoptee. If we cannot trace the family of the adoptee, obviously the adoptee can stop the contract. There are adoptees, though, because we got also very badly hit with COVID, who we couldn't work for 18 months. And it is this system which brought us through COVID. And thanks to those adoptees who entrust the cases to us. And compared to a fee-for-service model, first of all, a fee-for-service model is not possible to work in these difficult cases. It's absolutely impossible because we have to fight authorities. We may have to go to court. We really need to be strong as an organization to if we fight with authorities. And you know, it's nothing worse than if you fight for an adoptee and the adoptee said, oh, I don't want to pay. I have enough paid. So I better quote a price which is realistic than to say, oh, we can do it for 50 euros. And then this system has build, I would say, the first independent, fully independent organization, grassroots, because we are 95% funded only thanks to adoptees. There's no cent from the Ministry of Justice, not a cent, not from anybody else. That I think, as an adoptee, that this is perverse, that adoptees have to pay for the searches, that is clear. This is not my goal to run an organization like this. My goal is that the Ministry of Justice or the Belgium here for the audience, or the Belgium pay this money, and we need, even that model is complicated, we need a budget per year. This is for cases, of relinquished cases, where I'm sure rather sure we can solve it. Foundlings, where I know we hardly can solve it. I also don't know how to charge them. And I've also said, okay, these relinquished cases, to some extent can subsidize these cases, because it's kind of weird, to charge 50 to 100 euros for somebody where we actually know we hardly can solve it. So I'm charging 200 euros per day, plus the actual expenses. In cases of foundlings, we're getting all the information which is available. We make a proposal for that, and then we ask the adoptees to come. We spend 2-3 days with the adoptees trying to get the story in the media. We are very clear, I'm very clear from the beginning to the adoptees, chances like this. But try. We never know. Yep. And my belief is that as an adoptee, you can let it rest. I mean, there's a point where it's not solvable, at least not unless you make such an effort. So I think as an adoptee, if you've tried really everything and it just doesn't work, then also you can let it rest, or you can have your DNA in the DNA database. And I believe as an adoptee, one has to give the search a place. It's never going to go away. But sometimes it's really not solvable. I mean, it is not that we can solve every case. And then cases like where the adoptees, there are cases where the adoptees have the name and address of the mothers. Well, we think then the case is very easy to solve, like David's case. It turns out it wasn't that easy, but there also we are charging 200 euros per day, plus the actual expenses only. These are 16 euros per hour. So it's obviously clear that it's too low calculated. This is subsidized from our general budget. But also, charging more is not okay. So in cases where adoptees have the information, we also make a proposal. And there we work step by step and hope that we usually say we need between 5 to 10 days. If you cannot solve a case between 5 and 10 days, it's complicated. Let me also explain it from my perspective. When I traveled the first times to India, I never had much money, actually. And I stayed also in very simple accommodations. And I found India also rather cheap. And I also can understand if adoptees or anyone who travels from Europe to India thinks, oh, wow, that's cheap. You can stay in a youth hostel, doesn't cost that much. You can stay in low accommodation, doesn't cost that much. But there's so many cars and people have flats and big houses. Okay. But you're trying to save money, and budget travel, low budget. You can actually travel really low budget in India. And then, you ask people how much they earn, and then your taxi drivers or things are there, 300-400 euros a month. You think that is what it is. And then you think, okay, you travel with bus, you travel with train. So all is cheap. It's absolutely not cheap. The reality is, when you live a middle-class life in India, and we are living lower middle class life, you need about 60 to 70 50% of the money for a similar standard than you need in the Netherlands. Bus and trains, the moment you do work, I mean 18 hours, 36 hours in train, when you also build time, doesn't make sense. So we take flights. Anjali is a bit not that young then in 2006, so we tried also to save money at that time. But today I'm putting her up in 3 to 5 star hotels. Sometimes 5-star hotels are cheaper than 4-star hotels.
Yeah.
So we are really looking to save money, but to ensure her also security. And she gets very pissed, rightfully, if she has been out in the sun for 14 hours and then the AC is not working or the shower is not working, things like that. And this suddenly makes a huge difference if you're working very hard. So we are not saving on travel and accommodation. We are saving on it, but we're having a certain standard. And apart from that, she's traveling alone as a woman, and you need to be in safe places. You don't want to end up in a red light district, right?
Yeah.
The belief is that she's only worth 50 euros a day, because that is what tourist guides charge.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 50 or maybe 50 to 100 euros a day. That's what tourist guides charge. So we really have to talk about that she's actually a qualified lawyer and she's actually a social worker at the same time. Lawyers in the Netherlands charge how much? 250 euros an hour. So we really need to put that in perspective. And I'm also very clear, I'm paying her only 100 euros per day.
And since last, I don't know how many years, and
I
I'm like that, you are manipulating. You should pay me like a European standard because I'm solving European cases.
Yeah,
but we
I'm
have
paying
to, so yeah.
Oh,
I know he's not taking anything, so I cannot
take
ask.
another room tonight. But this is real. ACT pays her only 100 euros a day. This is not much. How to improve the situation for Indian adoptees? Fight, unite. I also fight with adoptees, and sometimes maybe it's not so nice. Maybe I hurt some other adoptees. Maybe I do that. But you know, as adoptees, I have solved my case as far as I can solve it. I'm not doing it for my own case or anything. I'm really doing it because I'm the only one, we are the only ones on the ground in India doing it. And if I'm not there, and she's not there, there's nobody right now. So we have to fight with Indian authorities. If you don't want to work with me, or if you don't like me or Anjali, or if you don't like anything, then do it yourself. Fight with Indian authorities. And fight with Dutch authorities. The Ministry of Justice has to acknowledge the crimes. Fight with the Ministry of Justice. But really fighting me? Adoptee Rights Council, is that really useful? So I've been really cancelled in the Dutch adoptee community. I've been cancelled in the international adoptee community. I've been called a criminal. I've been called exploiting adoptees. All this stuff. And I've been cancelled and blocked in most all groups. I've been disabled of sharing information, other than I'm trying to share information, but I'm blocked. I'm killed. My voice is cancelled. Support ACT, Support Adoptee Rights Council. We are the only independent registered organization in India advancing adoptee rights. There is no one else. There's no one else who has been working full-time for 25 years on that. Been working on that for 25 years, full-time. In 2001, I gave up my job. In 2003, I let my business completely down. And don't fight me. Fight the Ministry of Justice to fund us. And I'm not going to shut up before the Dutch Ministry of Justice is not giving us the appropriate funding. And 25,000 euros with the Ministry of Justice, if I'm charging per case then 25,000 euros is a joke. And if I charge 20,000 euros per case and I have to solve for 25,000 euros 5 cases, that means my organization is putting 15,000 euros in. And despite that, my agreement, I will do that, the Ministry of Justice denied us. Okay, now.
Is there anybody who needs a short break? Because going a little over time, and I think it might be good to have a short break now and then continue the rest.
Yeah, because this is very interesting part now. It's good time for a break.
So let's take 10 minutes?
Yeah. This is your part now.
Come.
Okay, my thing is working. We are running?
Yeah.
Okay. Unfortunately, everything takes more time, like in a search, than thought about, so we are running a bit short on time. I have to squeeze some things, and other things I have to give the time which it needs. The main Dutch partner agencies in India were Balanand, Shishu Sangopan Griha in Delhi. That were the partner agencies in India of Wereldkinderen. I think Wereldkinderen has done most of the adoptions. Then there was a partner orphanage of Myling, Malaysian Social Service. Malaysian Social Service is the scandal why I'm working in the Netherlands, because we exposed the scandal in 2007. It was fully covered up by the Ministry of Justice till date. The kidnapped children were sent, they really kidnapped children, were sent to the US and the Netherlands and Australia, and between 2007 and 2008 that hit really hard, that scandal, and it's not over yet. And it's all covered up. It's unbelievable. Now the adoptees coming to us. We have one adoptee whose case from Malaysian Social Service we are trying to solve, and we're trying to trace the records. 4 years we're working on now, alone, without any support, of trying to trace and preserve the records. It's not easy. Only one adoptee helps us. There's 350. No government authority, nobody. Shishu Sangopang Delhi, that was run program, the partner was Sunila De, who's now old. I think she's still alive.
I don't know.
Yeah. They're very uncooperative. They seem to be very nice in the beginning to the adoptees, but they're not. Unfortunately, as I have to charge for our work, adoptees are very upset about me and us. And we have competitors who, there's only one other organization, Dutch organization, it's the Milkbox Project. And they're saying they can do it much cheaper. They're saying they can do searches for 1/10, about 1/10 of what we actually charge. I don't know. And they actually now have hired a lawyer also, because the saying is Aaron hired a lawyer, so we can do it. But you saw the law. She's a lawyer and a social worker. And the lawyer can only fight for access to the file. But if their mother requested privacy, in every relinquishment document is request for privacy, the court will not. The courts are not very cooperative. We have also filed now one case against Shishu Sangopang Griha in Delhi. It's very complicated. And we have recently lost a case in Calcutta, really badly lost the case. And we've been trying to appeal it. Unfortunately, in this case, the adoptee didn't want to appeal it, even if you pay the costs. And because it is very dangerous to file court cases in India, because we have a common law system. So any adverse order goes against all of us. And I'm very agitated about it, because actually, I have put my life on the brink to fight for my own case in the first place, and then fight for other cases. And we do know the legal system. We do know the mindset. We do know the lawyers. We do also know the top-notch lawyers who have represented myself in the case. So we can get very good lawyers. Highest paid lawyers in India actually represented, in my case, pro bono. So I'm not sure whether it's so wise to bypass us and thinking we can do it much better. At the end of the day, that lawyer of the Milkbox Project asked us to intervene in the case.
Yeah.
You see that?
So that will help him.
Yeah, that we had their cases. I'm really nervous about their case, because if they're going to lose, we are going to be screwed. All of us. All of our cases. And if they're going to lose, I hope they really have the resources to actually go to the Supreme Court. We tell the adoptees whose cases we are now fighting in court, it has to be clear. If we lose, we go and appeal. If we're going to lose in Supreme Court. Maybe it happens, but the Supreme Court is also in India gives something. But I also didn't win my case. I got access to my file, but the court refused to lay down guidelines on how to deal with the files. So we are really, really litigating now. We have the appeal now in Calcutta. We're going to court in Bombay, and we're going to court in Bangalore, and we are in Delhi in court.
Delhi.
So we really fight hard. I am not sure. We don't have support from anyone apart from one adoptee who pays for that. Oh, can I ask you to come here?
Yeah.
You come.
I'll
change.
Yeah, I'll change.
Balanand is a complicated story. And we are blessed with Sulika who came now, because she's a typical Balanand case. We started working for Wereldkinderen, as I said, in 2008, working unpaid as volunteers. And it was really like me and the Roots and program manager and the program manager traveling to India twice. And it's a very complicated, long story. I think Balanand isn't like Malaysian social service. We don't know what exactly happened in the early days. But in the early days, the director basically hadn't registered an organization. She was asked to register her own organization later on by René Hoxbergen, Wereldkinderen. But she is a really qualified social worker. She's a real social worker. I mean, studied also as social worker. So I think she worked pretty much by the rule books, as much as one. There were not so many rules. And many of the cases are cases from unmarried mothers. Yeah. So one also has to see that aspect and recognize that aspect, that this is not like a Malaysian social service or Madras Christian Children's Home trafficking operation as such. Balanand has a different idea about roots and a different mindset. Their mindset is not for assisting adoptees. Their mindset is for helping those mothers to get rid of the child, to be able to continue their life, and to give the child a good home. And their belief is and was that if you send a child to the Netherlands, the child will be fine. Then the child grows up. Okay. Her experience, I'm really glad you're here. Thank you so much. But her experience, I think, is reflective of the experience of many Balanand adoptees. So I will actually ask her questions and in English, and you please answer them in Dutch. I try to understand. So when did you start searching?
In 2017.
And how did you do that?
Ik ga in het Duits. Ik heb deze organisatie leren kennen via een andere geadopteerde. Ik ben dan in 2015 ben ik voor een rootsreis mee geweest vanuit Wereldkinderen. Nou ja, en toen had ik zelf ook al kinderen. En ja, dan wil je toch wel meer weten over je achtergrond. En toen ben ik in september 2017 ben ik gestart met de zoektocht. Het heeft meer dan 3 jaar geduurd. En ze hebben mijn moeder in december 2020 gevonden. Nou ja, toen kon ik niet heen door de corona. En toen ben ik in oktober 2021 ben ik afgereisd naar India, naar mijn moeder. En dat is zo, eigenlijk nog steeds niet te geloven eigenlijk, dat het allemaal is gelukt. En dan na zoveel jaren dat het dan toch uiteindelijk wel is gelukt. En toen ben ik in 2022 ben ik weer heen geweest. En ik heb dan ook een halfbroer. Maar die wist toen niet in 2021 en 2022 dat ik zijn halfzus was. Want je zit dan met, mijn moeder was niet getrouwd toen ze mij kreeg. En mijn moeder is inmiddels overleden. En mijn halfbroer weet het nou wel, dat ik zijn halfzus ben. En in oktober ben ik weer afgereisd naar India, heb ik mijn halfbroer ontmoet. Nou, toen wilde hij mij eerst niet zien. En toen, toen hebben we het later, de dag later via de politie gedaan. En toen hebben we wel een heel gesprek gehad. Maar het contact, dat loopt nog, is wat moeizaam.
And did Wereldkinderen, when you went to the roots trip, did Balanand or Wereldkinderen help you with the search?
Nee, ze zeiden toen dat er geen, toen ik in 2015 in India was met de rootsreis, toen zeiden ze dat er geen meer informatie was. Maar ja, die informatie is er dus wel. Ja.
That, as I said, we follow the rules in India. So Anjali is only representing Sulika. So Anjali also is a social worker since a long time. So we know also the director or the managing director. And what actually happened, I would also have to say, what happened in Sulika's case, she doesn't really fully know, this is why I'm saying it, what happened in the background. But we fought with the authorities so that the authorities put pressure or gave us the information. That wasn't easy. It's not like we're going to Balanand. We're just going to Balanand and get the information. So in her case, we have to say, also give them the credit they deserve. They actually went and met the mothers. We also got the information, but we couldn't trace the mother based on that information. Because, I don't know, I mean, it's just, I don't know really, I still don't know why we couldn't do that. But anyway, so the Balanand social worker.
We were knowing name, but not address.
Yeah.
And Balanand was knowing address.
Yeah, so we have to say that Balanand met the mother. The mother said, no, I don't want to meet. So at the same time also we had some other adoptees try to search. We were actually managing, we were working bottom up. We were actually managing to cooperate with the local department. Some other adoptee tried to search, from top down. So what happened then that the Central Adoption Resource Authority went to with the department to that another orphanage, and then the Central Adoption Resource Authority killed us. Fully clear-cut orders, no cooperation with Anjali or Aru, not any. And her case was also stood. So it took another 18 months for us to build up a case in the Bombay High Court. We did not take her case, it was another case. It was a Swiss case we took up, because once we win one case, also we create case law. So we won that case, and that is the case where also we were recognized, or she was recognized, I was taken out, the court said that she's not a third party. So we won that case. But that was because one adoptee thought he's clever. So her search got stalled. And not only her, all our cases.
All cases, yeah.
At the end, because of her skills, we are not exactly friends. Obviously, I'm called against child trafficking. Because of her skills, she built a relationship. I mean, she has a long-standing working relationship with the managing director of Balanand. So at the end, they went together. She, director, not the social worker, the managing director of Balanand, and she went together to meet the mother. They were still not really willing to share.
Yeah, they were not happy.
They were not happy. So they are not really facilitating it. They're saying they're doing roots, but they're not doing it really well. We have another case where we actually traced the mother, and Balanand would not allow Anjali to work freely. And the reunion went sadly not so well. But Balanand is basically, as a standard procedure, their idea of roots is, we will give you the first name, we will tell you the area, and that's it. We may take you to the area. And that's it. But I also have to really say, in these cases, this is really sensitive because these are unmarried mother cases. So I do understand that Balanand does not give out the information. And because of her case, and Anjali being able to establish, let's say, personal relation, despite all our differences. We had also a meeting, even I was there. So I'm clear, and they know me. They also know my story. They don't like me. But that's not about liking, it's about, we want to solve cases for adoptees. And they're also not that bad. They're not like we deny the needs of adoptees. So we came that far that we were actually close of signing a memorandum of understanding, which would have enabled us to also cut costs significantly.
Yeah.
And then some other adoptees, Dutch adoptees, were very smart. They were sending emails. I don't know where it originated. They're sending emails even to Balanant's board, alleging that I had relationships with whatever, and so basically they were messing it up. And then there came a TV program, Case van der Spek program, and that messed up our relationship with Balanant. So now we are back at square one. Okay, I have to go further. Thank you, Sulika, for sharing your information. But that is the background information.
Yeah, and we found her mother. She met her mother twice. Now, last time she met her brother also. So, need to build a relationship.
Yeah, it's really difficult because also I was wrong. Here I was wrong. Sulika wanted us to tell the brother, and I understand Sulika. But Anjali was saying, oh, wait. And I actually sent one of our staff members there, and that was a mistake. So Anjali was right, because the brother said no, and now we also went together. It is not that easy to accept a child, even accept her. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question, and don't misunderstand me. It sounds like an attack or something because of English. I'm wondering, Balanant, your relationship was good. Did I understand it right?
Not good. But they knows me, and they knows that if they will not cooperate with me, then I'll drag them to court.
Okay, because I am curious what happened. I am thinking of Sulu Kauro, and we all had stories from
I know.
everywhere. So I am curious about you. What happened with you from
No, Sulu is not talking to me much.
Why is she cooperative now? That's my curiosity.
No, she's not cooperative. She's not. She is talking to me, but now she is not handling routes. Her managing director was handling that, and she was knowing me since 1998, as we were working on different campaign and all. So she knows me. And I met Sulu once. Anjali, I don't have anything. That is what she said. And now I'm not doing. You talk to her. And then I convinced her because she knows me. She also background of master in social work and knows me very well. And with that, but still she's not shared complete information with me. She took me to meet with the mother, but not given me any information. And I know, they also knows clearly that okay, if you will not cooperate with Anjali, then what I can do, they knows. And they don't have that means to fight all the time in the court. And I'm not going to go only with one case. I'll go multiple cases.
So is there a change of opinion from your side because we had a lot of fights?
We are still having a lot of fights.
No, I'm curious. No, see, this is also why we're still having fights, but you can have fights and you can have different opinions. You can agree on one thing, and that is actually that adoptees have a need to meet their mothers. And they...
Is she convinced by that?
No, she's not convinced of that. But Angelique is able to put enough pressure on that. So you really cannot expect that an adoptee herself, they're just right now, I think nobody else had a reunion other than that other adoptee I'm talking about, which was messed up, unfortunately. But it is not that the fight is over.
No, means you fight, argue, but you cannot go below belt. Means making picture of Arun and that somebody, ladies, different bodies and putting faces and sex pictures, you are sending it to somebody. It's really shit. No, let me talk to about that.
Because we are running out of time.
Yeah, that is shit. So you fight, you argue, just be in court or in front of them, let them, if they are coming, you have arguments, but you should not go below belt. You are saying that you are sleeping together and that's why.
But Anjali is referring to the emails
which was shared. That's why
by Dutch adoptees actually.
Because they got offended and then whatever I built, it's gone.
I was really curious what happens to your opinion as ACT from that part to be cooperative.
We are very clear, as I said, against child trafficking is against child trafficking. And I've also told that to Balanan that we consider adoption and inter-country adoption legalized child trafficking.
Yeah, they know that.
They know that. So, but that doesn't mean that I recognize that they followed certain rules. They followed, their records are good, relatively, compared to Malaysian social service. And we can agree to disagree. And we have to, as organization, assisting adoptees, we have to recognize that they have the records. So there are two options. Either we get them to the government, the records will be even worse off, or we build some relationship with Balaland. And that we actually had built because of her case. Okay, we have to continue. Thank you, Sulik. So the... Huh? Yeah.
Nou ja, zonder Arun en Anjali was het natuurlijk niet gelukt. Ik had eerst zoiets van, ik ga zelf wel op zoek, maar dat lukt echt niet in India. Dus wel dankzij hun heb ik wel mijn familie kunnen ontmoeten. En daar ben ik heel erg dankbaar voor. Nog steeds.
Okay, we move. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming and thank you for. Yeah.
You want me there?
Yeah, come. We are running out of time, so I have to be a bit further, but we also have somebody from Belgium here.
Yeah.
So in Belgium, basically the agency, there were some more agencies, but the main agency was the Vrolijk Desires, Joyce Sowers, Pater de Los, and he worked mainly with Christian organizations and part of the Missionaries of Charity, mainly. We have had our first cases with the Missionaries of Charity in 2004. We've been fighting with them. I haven't been dragging them to court yet. But, you know, there was also no need. Can you just quickly summarize why you actually built a relationship with the Missionaries of Charity?
Actually, there was one German adoptees case when first time I went to Kolkata. The sister just threw me out and his girlfriend. Did go like that. And Bombay also, they never, I always had a fight with sisters. They never treated in a way good because I'm asking information and all. But then one certain day during COVID time, I received a phone call from Missionaries of Charity saying that, okay, our Pune home is in problem. Now they stopped adoptions. So they are having a special women's home and men's home. So 10 people went for testing. Out of 10, 9 are positive, and out of that 9, 5 are nuns. They roamed with everybody. So we don't know how many is infected. And out of 80, 32 are bedridden. So we cannot, they are saying, carry them.
Short.
We can't do. So she requested me, please help us. And despite all these arguments, fights and all, she said that I feel that you are the only person who can help us, that I know, that's why I called you. And I was like really shocked, but I managed. Then had really fights with authorities to work on these cases. Out of 80, 48 were positive. And they, as they special, I was 1 month being I'm having sugar, diabetes, but still holding somebody's head, somebody's legs, because they were special women. They are afraid of people wearing this kind of thing. And then we managed that no one died with COVID. and in between I had some patch in my lungs, and then they started, everybody, because only this home was having this corona thing, and then it spread everywhere, and that's how most of the nuns knows me, that there is one woman advocate who, and then since that time they changed their attitude towards me. They starting helping me out with the cases and information and all, and even they are also seeking, whenever I am going to Kolkata or other places, if they are having any request, she is asking me to help with those cases.
Okay, can I? Yeah, because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
So the Missionaries of Charity, which is one large, changed also due to discussions with us, not at last, due to discussions with us.
Yes.
They changed their attitude towards searchers, and there's also new management. It is not that they did always everything by the books. They also know that. So I also can say that publicly. But as I also said, my interest is really first and foremost to assist the adoptees to meet their parents. And they also know that. And what goes wrong is that in Belgium there was Ray of Hope. There was Annelies the whatever. And the adoptees would go to her because it was a funded government thing, and then they would write to the Missionaries of Charity. Or the adoptees would go to the Missionaries of Charity. We really have to understand that these are nuns. These are not necessarily qualified social workers. Some are. Nuns are nuns. Some are Swedes, some are not. It is really not, and they also rotate. They also don't have a real clear basis. There are really, really many orphanages. So the orphanages, different orphanages over the country would transfer the children to Delhi, to Calcutta, or to Bombay. And from there, the adoptions were done. So it is really not easy also for them. Also, they are willing to help adoptees, but they don't know how to search. So, of course, I understand we're charging 20,000 euros, so adoptees think we ask the nuns of doing that. Then the nuns are doing it, and it turns out it's not the family they found. Because then I help them, the adoptees, to make DNA tests. Or the nuns figure out, okay, that's an unmarried mother case, and then they stall it, rightfully, actually. They're not supposed, if the mother says no, to give the information. And there's lots of miscommunication. I've literally helped try to explain and train the nuns. We have literally do that, and how to communicate with the adoptees. Because of course I understand if you have contradictions in the paperwork, you think you're trafficked, you're stolen, and things like that. It may not be the case. It may though be the case, but not the case as the adoptee thinks.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. Yeah. So that. Yeah, but that's a standard. There are lots of mistakes happening. These are not necessarily intentional mistakes to fabricate paperwork. So when we get access to the paperwork, we can still trace the families. Yeah. There may be mistakes being made. There may be misspellings because the nuns come from different areas. And the nuns have also, the Missionaries of Charity as an organization, they may have a lot of money, but that's in the Vatican Bank. It is not in India with those nuns. They don't have the operational money even to pay really for searches. And they really don't have. It is not on their bank account in India. Whatever money they have, it is. My attitude to the Missionaries of Charity, meanwhile, is I'm not saying they're overboard, but we also have to see Mother Teresa has been declared holy. And there is no use of fighting them in India for any compensation for anything which they did wrong. It is no use of fighting them. You will hardly win it, but even if you win it, what is the use of it? So the only thing is, I mean, if adoptees are so angry because things may have gone wrong in the past, then take it up with the Vatican. But we also know how the Catholic Church deals with things which have gone on in the past. So my attitude to the Missionaries of Charity right now is that if they are cooperative with searchers, just leave them in peace. We solve the cases, and fine. What is of the use of exposing them in scandals? And they are also having changed over the years. Like now we know, no, because Anjali was working in that home. That they actually run, we can object to the fact that they run the homes. It should be the state running the homes. It should not be charity. But they are actually running the homes well.
Yeah. And the young nuns are really cooperative, but old nuns are still means I just recently visited before coming here. Delhi, they gave me all information. So relinquish minute, everything. Then I went to
so we
from
can
where
solve.
came.
We can solve.
And this old nun said, Anjali, why don't you tell her?
So
Just
we
like that.
Yeah, we can solve, and we have been also brought into difficult situations because we need the cooperations of the nuns. So the nuns asked us to solve a Belgium case. We solved that Belgium case. That adoptee goes into the newspaper and tells we didn't find the mother. We didn't even charge, we paid it. Yeah? So, and these things. So it's really, I think we can solve, it's much easier for us to solve Belgium cases than Dutch cases. So, yeah, we can do that. And the nuns just don't know it. Okay, let's try. Okay, I will run quickly through that.
2 minutes left.
Yeah.
2 minutes?
2 minutes.
I'm going at 2 minutes. There are two conventions which conflict. One is the Hague Adoption Convention, and one is the UN Convention on the Right of the Child. The highest law is the UN Convention on the Right of the Child. And that mandates states to set up proper care for children. Local care. In Article 20. Article 22(1)(b) of the United Nations Convention on the Right of the Child basically says that as long as there is any suitable manner of care in the country of origin, inter-country adoption is not permissible. That is the United Nations Convention. It's the highest law, human rights law. Dutch government, ISS, whoever violates this systematically. And this was proven during the accession process of Romania. That is the origins of ACT. This is Article 21(b). Here, that's what we have to summarize it. But if you're interested in that, it's a subsidiarity principle. The International Social Service, the Hague Convention, they say that only adoption is the best care. And that is why the Dutch government continues with adoption and the Danish government continues with adoption. Why is this important for searches? Because the Hague Adoption Convention is also having post-adoption obligations. And it should be CARA, which we know that doesn't help, under the Hague Adoption Convention, which should be doing this work. This is also why the Ministry of Justice doesn't fund us. Because they think, okay, let's have a Belangenorganisation, let's give them a little bit funding so that they shut up. And anyway, officially, the official way is searching through the Hague Adoption Convention. And we shouldn't do the work doing anyway. So this is why it continues. And the issue is really, it doesn't work for searches. We have to really do away with the inter-country adoption system so that we can actually get the victims, we get redress. And what keeps us going is the International Social Services. It's actually FIOM, INEA, and the organization in Geneva, and Child Identity Protection. And my goal is redress, justice. We need compensation, and not just post-adoption services. And really, we know for sure that CARA, the Central Adoption Resource Authority, stole our cases, our work. They stole the searches. On paper, they say they're doing it. They're not doing it. So the system has to be completely abolished. And that is also what we fight for. We fight for full permanent stop of inter-country adoption, an apology, really recognition of the crimes. And I want a redress scheme. And the redress scheme means also serious individual compensation to victims. Serious. I don't know, I don't want to talk about money here, but that has to be serious. And it also means that organizations like ours or yours or other organizations need sufficient funding who assist. And currently in the Netherlands, it is an agreement within the adoptee world that there should be a roots fund, 5,000 euros for a flight ticket, hotel, and 5 DNA kits. It is not sufficient. I'm the only one opposing it, and I'm getting killed for it. Very short how we fund us. I explained our fees. We have a budget of 80,000, 95% from adoptees. Anjali is paid as consultant 100 euros. That's 12 euro 50 per hour. If she kills me because of exploitation, maybe.
I want increment.
See, I'm not paid. I don't have any. I have an allowance from ACT. and then you have to say that is all brutto before taxes and things like that, I'm getting 50 euros per day. So if people saying to me that I'm exploiting adoptee, wow. And all the rest we are spending are expenses. It is really not fair of me telling me that I'm warming up money when I say the Ministry of Justice should fund us, that I'm exploiting adoptees. It's really not fair. That I'm doing business. The Swiss researchers basically said that. I got them now to retract that. And is it really cheaper? This is what we are paid. The rest is expenses. Can you really do it cheaper? Nobody has managed in 25 years. Monthly costs, obviously we have costs for staff, office rent, travel, whatever. Name it, I have to be fast.
I'm sorry, I'm going to cut in really briefly because unfortunately we've run out of time. Perhaps it is possible to send the presentation to the people who are interested. Because there's a very interesting part about DNA research and
DNA. I can DNA. Let me kindly finish my last thing. 1 minute.
1 minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
We cut DNA because basically DNA. We have a small DNA project, but it's not possible because of unmarried mothers. Simple. Yeah? And we fight for DNA database, but that's another thing in India. General requirement of an organization is you need an office, you need qualified trained staff, you need accounting, what the hell accounting, you need a website, okay, that's half the minute, you need a client management software. And the client management software has to be filled. It actually costs a hell of a lot of money. And 70%, you work 1 hour in the field and you have 45 minutes on administration, or if not an hour. That is what it is. We're actually still fighting to get, or working on getting an FCRA license. To be an organization is not easy. And you need standard and procedures. And we have contracts. We have lots of things we have to improve because we have so little funding, we don't have that. And any organization needs that. Even volunteer organization needs that. Yeah? So to say that it all can be done for free is just a joke. It's not, it's fraud. It's not possible. Done.
Thank you so much. I want to thank all of you for attending and also for those at home who have been watching. I'm sure there's many of you who have very many questions. You can send them to Arun and Anjali via info@againstchildtrafficking.org. I want to thank you both for initiating this event. This is part of the idea of the aim of INEA to make all the knowledge, or make as much knowledge about adoption accessible for those who are interested in it. Thank you so much. I'm sure we could have talked for many, many more hours, but unfortunately time has run out. Should you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. And
just send us an email, or you can text me on Messenger.
You need to click, because then the email address and the website is visible.
You can send me an email or text me on Messenger, whatever.
Great. Thank you so much, and have a lovely evening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you to you.